And up, New York Giants fans. That's the loudest stand up I've had in about 3 weeks for this team. I don't know why, Bad Dog. Maybe it's just because it's been so doom and gloom. Um, I actually feel a little bit better about this team off of last week. I don't know. I feel like we're gonna get a win tomorrow.
I thought we were just going to do a stand up, and again because we are 1-5.
Yeah.
With you though, all week I felt like we were going to win this game, and like I said, I know we only scored 9 points, and that sucks. But felt like we could have easily had 23. It felt like we moved the ball consistently against really good defense, and we just didn't put the points on the board. We just didn't hit the end zone. But I felt like that was a very complete game. Washington, I think, is on our level. They're certainly. I don't think they're not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not saying they're a bad team, but they're not Miami, Buffalo. They're not Dallas. They're not San Fran.
It's in our weight class.
They're they may be a little better than us, but we're like I said, they're there.
Yeah, I think it's a game where we match up fairly well. And I think it's a game if we play clean football like we did last week. I think the Giants stand a pretty good chance to get to 2-5, and who knows? Maybe you build some momentum off of that. Obviously, it's not the start we were all hoping for. 1-5, we feel like we're back in the Joe Judge regime. This team has played a really hard schedule, but that's not an excuse. Going into the year, we thought this would be a team that would compete to make the playoffs, and obviously at this point, it doesn't appear to be that way. Looks like Daniel Jones is going to be out again, which I think we both expected. I think all Giants fans probably expected that. They're kind of keeping it under wraps, and if Jones isn't 100%, like we said last night on Patty's channel, I don't see the point in rushing him back out there. So I think that's the right move. I think we see a heavy dose of Saquon again. That's what I expect. And hopefully Tyrod's able to hold on to the football. If they do that, I think we'll be able to generate enough pressure against this offensive line of the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, we can't be one-dimensional. We have to run the ball. There's no question about that. Running the ball, be balanced on offense, keep that defense guessing, stretch the field a few times like Tyrod did last week. Just so you can't play in that 10-yard box, just so you can't play up at the line of scrimmage and say, okay, we know they're not going to go deep. Just put that thought in the back of their head. Like Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton, I mean, these guys can run. Let them eat, give them a chance. And when the defense has to worry about that, that's going to open up underneath. That's going to open up Wandale. That's going to open up Darren Waller. That's going to open up Saquon. So, it just sucks because you watch that game, and Buffalo is a really good team.
Very good team.
And you sit there and you watch it, and you're like, what? Like, where the hell was this team?
Yeah.
You as much as the Giants pissed me off to no end this year, and they look like such a pathetic team.
Yeah.
There's talent there. And it's just like they just can't put it together. It's like they're not on the same page. It's not, like I said, it's a 53 individuals are not a team this year as opposed to last year when it seemed like they really worked well as a cohesive unit. It's just frustrating. Again, listen, we played really tough competition, and there's no question. We could be 1-5 anyway, but I hate the way they competed, like the lack of competition, the way we got beat. Mm-hmm. That's what really put a damper on this season for me so far. It's not that we lost the games we lost. It's the way we lost.
Yeah.
This team is way more talented than this damn 1-5. And I think that's frustrating. If we could have found a way to beat Buffalo and been 2-4, you go in Washington, you go into the game against Washington, you win. Got the same record.
You're looking at a Jets game where you get back to
the Jets in Vegas. I mean, it would have turned everything around. So it's frustrating, man. And, it's amazing. A win could turn the season around. A loss could start the ball rolling towards 2024. And, I see on Twitter, you're not shopping Saquon. No kidding. Joe Shane ain't shopping anybody. But people call. He's taking a call. He's not calling people going, hey, do you want Saquon?
Of course.
But if Baltimore calls him and goes, yo, second rounder, 5th in 2025. What do you do? Take him.
Well, Shane would be a fool to come out openly and say, I'm looking to trade Saquon.
He's not trying to leverage.
He's not trying to hurt his value. We'll see how that plays out. I'm still up in the air on it. I don't know what they're going to do. I think if the right deal's there, though, the Giants obviously will entertain it. They clearly showed this offseason that he's not in the long-term plans of this football team. So if he's not in the long-term plans of this football team, obviously draft picks are. If you can get a significant draft pick for him, they're going to entertain it. So we'll
I
see.
agree.
I hate to see it. I think Saquon's great. He looked great last week. Definitely meant a lot to the team last week. I think that had a lot to do with why the offense started to look better last week. But it is what it is. We got to realize where we're at as Giants fans. And if we continue to lose, yeah, we're going to be sellers. Ethan says, I was
I
at the Bill.
agree. Real
Yeah.
quick, I was just going to say Saquon on this team, he can perform as well as he wants. This team's going nowhere. I mean, his services would be better valued on a team that actually has a chance to go someplace.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Dr. Garrett. I don't always think you're the smartest guy, but I think that's the best fit for him. I really do. When I really think about it around the league, I look at that as a Super Bowl contending defense. They lose Nick Chubb. I think Barkley's a perfect fit there. I don't know what they'd be willing to give up, but I think that's a good fit. I don't know how many people have talked about that. Ethan says, I was at the Bills game. Let me tell you, it was awesome, even with a bad team. I mean, it was definitely a fun game to go to, I'm sure, Ethan. Obviously, we didn't like the result, but that was a game going in where I think if you're being honest with yourself, backup quarterback, you have 3 backup offensive linemen. You're missing Andrew Thomas. Saquon Barkley, you don't know how he's going to look coming off the injury. You're going up against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. I think it's a game that all of us thought we were going to get absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
I think the biggest reason why we stayed competitive with them is our familiarity with the Bills. And I thought that going into the year, it's why I picked that as our upset before the year started. I thought that would play a major factor, and I think it did. I think that's why we kept it as close as we did. We made Josh Allen look very uncomfortable, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Dable knows his strengths and weaknesses. Independent says, last gasp for the season. Let's prove Louis T wrong. Yeah, let's beat their ass tomorrow. Let's go.
Yep.
Donovan says, call me delusional, but my last glimmer of hope is that this year is the opposite of last year when we started hot and ended cold. I mean, I think that's what we're all hoping, Bad Dog. Last year we started, I think, 5-1 or whatever it was, and then we cooled up in the second half. Hopefully it's a reverse this year. That'd be nice.
Yeah. They're gonna have to play a lot better. They're gonna have to start scoring some points if that's the case.
Yeah, that'd be really nice. But thank you to everybody for being here. Appreciate all you guys. See a lot of people talking about the college games today. I'll tell you what. We mentioned him briefly last week. I was watching the Michigan game. J.J. McCarthy could play. I don't know where he's being mocked in these drafts, and I know he's got a good offensive line there in Michigan. That Michigan State defense is pretty good. And J.J. McCarthy, he's got a rocket of an arm. He impressed me tonight. I think he looks good.
I don't think Michigan's played anybody. I'll wait till I'll make a decision on that when they play Penn State and Ohio State.
Yeah,
beating Bowling Green, beating Rutgers, beating Nebraska. I'm not impressed with that. I'm not a big fan of JJ McCarthy, truth be told. But again, I want to see him play against someone that's not Bowling Green. Michigan State is not good at all.
No, they're not good.
Washington ran through.
They're not good.
This is not a good time. I want him to play some competition. You know, people are going to get on Caleb Williams last week. Notre Dame's a damn good team. I mean, that's a good defense. You know, they I don't know what happened to them against Louisville. That was just people have those outlier games. Almost happened to Oklahoma today. I mean, they almost lost to UCF. It happens. But Notre Dame is good. And
Notre Dame's damn good.
You know, so I just want to see them play against somebody. Michael Penix, he plays at 10:30. I'll be looking forward to that. Of course, you know, they beat Oregon last week. Oregon's got a damn good defense. They got a damn good defense. So again, I guess I don't watch a ton of Michigan because they don't play anybody, and it's not going to be
the Big Ten's boring too. If we're being honest.
It is, and they just blow everybody out. So it's just like I said, when they play Penn State, when they play Ohio State, I watch those because I'm like, that's going to be a good game. But Michigan State, Michigan, Bowling Green, Michigan, Rutgers, Michigan, Nebraska, we know their outcome before that game starts.
Yeah. And Trizzy says, scenario, you guys have get 3 moves as the GM at the deadline. What are you trying to do? I mean, it all depends on what our record is, but I mean, if we're continuing down this path, I'm looking to sell, but I'm not going to just trade somebody to trade somebody. But yeah, if I could get a second round pick plus for Saquon Barkley, I'm looking to sell him. I'm looking to trade him, being that he's probably not going to be here long term. I think the longest he's going to be here is probably another year if we franchise tag him. So if you get a second round pick and maybe a little bit more for him, I think you do it. But the deal's got to be right. I look to trade anybody that's not a part of the future of this team, whether that be Leonard Williams, whether that be, Adoree Jackson, anybody that I could get anything for that I know is not going to be in the long-term interest of this football team. Maybe we talked about it with Patty last night, maybe some of the depth in the wide receiving core. But yeah, I mean, I think you're clearly looking to sell. I don't know if we're going to trade 3 players. I doubt it. But yeah, King Trizzy, I'd be looking for good value if I'm Joe Shane. I'm sure he will be. I think we'll be active at the trade deadline.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, depending on what happens these next 2 weeks, if you don't plan on bringing in, you'll know. I mean, you know what the future is of this team. If you don't plan on bringing Saquon back, if he's not in your long term plans, he's going to be your most valuable piece. You move him. Leonard Williams is definitely not going to be in the future of the Giants. If you can get anything for Leonard, like we traded Snacks years ago for a fifth rounder, you can get fifth rounder for Leonard, you take it.
Yeah.
Xavier McKinney, I don't know what his future is with the Giants, but if they don't plan on bringing him back, he's going to give value to somebody. He's a pretty damn good safety. So him, Adoree Jackson, there, like Chris said, there's a lot of what Paris Campbell's a guy that could easily move on from here. So there's a lot of guys with expiring contracts at the end of this year. And if you don't plan on bringing any of them back or re-signing them, those are the guys you look to trade if people are interested. But like Chris said, I'm not just trading a guy to trade him. I'm not going to like, we'll take a sixth for Saquon. That shit ain't happening.
No, that's not happening. I'll keep him another year. I'm not giving him away for nothing. And Chris says, what's your opinion? I just talked about it, Chris. I actually liked McCarthy before tonight. I've watched a few Michigan games. I'm a big fan of Harbaugh. But like Bad Dog said, proof will be in the pudding when they go up against some better teams this year. I'm pretty high on McCarthy. I'm not sure where he's going in mocks. He was a very high prospect coming out of high school. I think I don't remember. He was one of the elite quarterback prospects coming out of high school. I remember that. I think he was a 5-star recruit. He's got everything I want. I mean, he's got a big arm. He's mobile. I think in the end, I think he's going to be a top 5 pick this year. There's my hot take because I know he's not going there right now. I think McCarthy looks really good. I think he's going to be a top 5 pick this year. That's my hot take, Chris. I like McCarthy.
Well, a lot of guys are going to – the quarterbacks always jump up the –
Yeah.
They always jump up the board. So, and again, the freaking whatchamacallit, the underwear Olympics will have a lot to do with it as well.
For sure. It always does.
They're going to have a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
So, somebody said in the chat, there's a lot of dead money that goes with those. There's no dead money on those players next year. None. There's no dead money.
Which players are we talking about?
I know. He just said the dead money goes to those contracts.
Leo has dead money next year. I think he goes $6 or $7 million against the cap next year. I don't know the others off the top of my head.
Well, not if you cut him before June 1st.
I know he's still going against our cap next year, and he's not on the roster because they added a void year to be able to get under the cap the first year that Joe Schoen took over the job. And I think Adoree's the same, if I'm not mistaken. But Leo's like $5 or $6 million against the cap next year.
Yeah. Well, again, I thought they cut him.
I could be wrong on that, but I'm going to look.
He does have like a $6 million hit, but I thought if they did it, I don't know if it's post June 1 or pre June 1. There is none.
Well, you still got to pay
Adoree Jackson. Adoree Jackson is a $3 million one.
Yeah, you still got to pay it, but you could just split it over the course of 2 years if you do it after June 1st. But you still got to pay that hit. I'm looking at let me look at it now. I know I saw it. I saw it the other day. I was looking at it. I think he was like $7 million next year, but I can't find it right now. But yeah, I think he was like $7 million against the cap next year. Maybe it was 6. But yeah, he's still a hit next year. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Which is why he'll be here. He won't be here. He's not under contract next year, little bulldozer. We just have a void year. He's not under contract next year. We just push back his money.
He's not a Giant next year unless they re-sign him.
Yeah, he won't be here next year. We knew that before the year started. We weren't going to sign him. It's why we didn't back out any of the money.
Exactly.
I listen. I think what you're going to get this year, Bad Dog, is kind of what we expected going into last year. You're going to finally get an overhaul of the roster. Joe Schoen identified some of the core pieces this offseason that he felt like he wanted to push forward with. Jones on a trial basis, of course, Andrew Thomas, of course, Dexter Lawrence, but he didn't extend Leonard Williams. He didn't extend Adoree Jackson. He didn't extend Saquon Barkley. I think you're going to see
McKinney.
Didn't extend McKinney. So I think you're going to see a complete transformation of this roster next year. That's where we really hopefully start to build this thing up. But
like I said, they usher the Gettleman era out of there. I mean, all those guys we mentioned are Gettleman guys.
Yeah.
So you're gonna start to usher them out. You're gonna start to bring in the players that Joe Schoen wants.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Before we continue, I just want to give a quick shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for all the support you guys always show. Because of you guys, because of my audience, because of Bad Dog's audience, Bad Dog and myself, we get opportunities like this. So I just want to say thank you to you guys. I got a new sponsor on the channel. They reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. We ironed everything out. So check them out. There's the link right there. It's Underdog Fantasy. It's also in the description below. You can check it out after the live stream. If you put in the promo code ETS, an abbreviation for Entertainer Talking Sports, they match $100 up to your first $100. And they're currently doing a special where if you, I think it's you deposit $500, they match $500. So they're giving away free money right now. Go check it out. I'll give you guys a quick rundown of what the website looks like. It's kind of similar, Bad Dog, to the sponsor I had a couple of years ago when, when we were, I think it was Prize Picks, where it's basically fantasy props. You pick overs and unders. So it's fantasy props. So if you're into fantasy football, I was actually messing around with it before we went live. I was looking at the Giant Washington game. And here's my picks. Tell me what you think. So you get 10-1. I'm gonna make the pick right now. I'm gonna put $20 on this, Bad Dog. You get 10-1. If I win, I think I get $200 because it's 10-1. So I got Gano over 5.5 kicking points, which is a lock because we never score touchdowns.
Right.
I got Tyrod under 192.5 passing yards because I think we're gonna really focus on the run. Yeah. That's my prediction going into the game. I got Saquon over 69.5 yards rushing because I think we're gonna feed him early and often. And I got Brian Robinson over 14.5 rushing attempts. You have to pick one from each team. Last year, if you recall, Brian Robinson ran it all over us, and we haven't done very good against the run. So I think Washington will try to feed him the ball in this game.
If they're smart, because last year they were running all over us and they decided to start passing. So, that's who the hell knows. But, yeah, man, the Gano, I love the Gano one. And, yeah, if we're going to win, Tyrod's going to have to be under 192, which means you're running the ball effectively, and Barkley will be over. And if Washington wants to win, they're going to have to run the ball too. I mean, these teams are kind of similar. It's just Washington has played a little easier schedule, and they're, certainly played better than we have. But, again, I think these two teams are in the same weight class, and I think it'll be a battle like it always is.
Yeah. And thank you, Charlie, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, check them out if you guys are interested. I appreciate all you guys, all the support you guys always show. Thank you for Diehard for posting the link. Appreciate that, too. Again, you can check it out in the description below. Christopher McGoughlin says, hey, Entertainer and Bad Dog, Commanders fan here, but enjoy listening to you both. We struggle in New Jersey. How do you see the Giants' offensive strategy changing this week with the O-line injuries, especially against our secondary? That's a really good question. And not just your secondary, Chris, your pass rush. I think you guys have one of the better pass rushes in the NFL when you're healthy. You have a really good front four. I think the Giants, I don't think it changed much based on in comparison to last week. I think the Giants last week got back to their identity from last year, and especially going up against a team like yours. Like, I think the game plan going into this game is pretty simple. Like, it's pretty obvious. Like, I think an eight-year-old with the New York Giants team that they currently have and the weaknesses to the Washington team. I mean, Chris, if you're being honest, the weakness to your team, I think, is pretty obvious. You guys can't protect your quarterback. You're the only team that surrendered more sacks than the New York Giants. So, and you've turned the ball over a whole hell of a lot. So if I'm Dable, I mean, I'm doing what I did last week. Saquon Barkley's getting at least 20 carries. I'm running the ball as much as I possibly can, and I'm getting the ball out of Tyrod Taylor's hand quick. I'm going to try to have long, sustaining drives, grind the clock, and I'm going to try to take advantage of your offensive line as much as you're probably going to be able to take advantage of ours. But Bad Dog, I think the team that wins this game is the team that turns it over the least amount in this game. And probably the team that will be able to accomplish that is the team that's able to establish the ground game, whether that be Brian Robinson or whether that be Saquon Barkley. I think that's the key to this game. I think it's going to be a grinded out football game.
I agree. I think the game plan for the Giants needs to be similar to what it was last week. Buffalo has a really good defense. Washington knows that as good as anybody. I think they sacked Sam Howell 7 times. They forced 4 picks and a fumble. They had 5 turnovers in that game. Tyrod Taylor's ability to get the ball out quick, the ability to read the defense, be decisive with his throws. He was only sacked 2 or 3 times. I forget how many. But the Giants were able to establish a run against Buffalo. They stayed right in the game. They didn't turn it over. The Giants have been forcing turnovers here as of late. And Howell is prone to turning it over when you get some pressure on him. So, again, he's a rookie. I think Wink Martindale will come up with a lot of I don't know how much he'll blitz. They didn't blitz a lot last week, and it seemed to be effective. But, that's Josh Allen. And Brian Dable could say, do not blitz him because he'll pick it apart. Just play man coverage or play zone or whatever. I mean, he would know his strengths. This is a little different. So I would expect Wink Martindale to be aggressive. Or, maybe early on because you guys do surrender a lot of sacks and your offensive line isn't good. Wink sees if he can get there at 4. but I think Wink will mix it up a lot to try to keep Sam Howell off balance. And if we can get pressure on Sam Howell, I think we can. I think we can do some damage here. But if he's allowed to sit in the pocket and throw or get out of the pocket and run, it's gonna be a long day for us.
I really do think we're going to be able to take advantage of Sam Howell in this game. I really do. I think Wink's the type of defensive coordinator that is going to be able to cause fits for a younger quarterback, a guy with a bad offensive line. I really do. I think we're going to be able to take advantage of them. But I also think our corners are going to be tested. Deontay Banks has done a really good job this year. But I don't think he's really been put in the position where he's gone up against a team that's had to throw the ball a whole lot because we've been behind a lot in these games. Washington has a lot of good wide receivers, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson. And I do think he's going to be tested in this game. I think our secondary will be tested in this game because Washington's weapons are actually pretty good. I think they have some at least average weapons. So that's something that I definitely worry about in this game. Can't give up big plays over the top. Somebody said muted. Am I muted? I don't think I'm muted.
No, I hear you fine.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. What's up? Tally says we will be 4-5 before playing Dallas. Believe it, and it will happen. It's possible. If you ask me right now, I don't know. I'm feeling a bit better about this team than I did 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think we're going to win 2 out of our next 3. I really do. I think the defense is starting to play better. And if Tyrod could play the way he did last week, or if when Daniel comes in, he could play mistake-free football like he was able to do all of last year, I think we'll be able to pick off 2 out of these next 3 opponents. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But it's one game at a time. We got to beat Washington first. Then maybe we start to feel a little bit better about this football team for the remainder of the year. So we'll see.
One at a time.
Yeah, one game at a time. The offensive line bed. I don't even, Patty asked this when we were on her channel. Who would you start? I don't even know who's alive right now.
I don't either. Whoever's the healthiest.
Doesn't really matter. The healthiest. Like Evan Neal's now banged up. There's reports that he's dinged up. Andrew Thomas dinged up. Shane Lemieux dinged up. Everybody's hurt. So I don't even know who's
dinged up.
Parrott's dinged up. So
Zudu's dinged up. Like everybody hurt.
Yeah, Zudu's dinged up. I think you put Pugh out on the left tackle again, which is insane for a guy that was coming off the couch. But I think you see a lot of 12 personnel in this game, Dyer. I agree. A lot of max protection in this game. You have to. You have no choice. You have no choice. And Peter says, Dunleavy reporting that he thinks Hawkins is in and Adoree is out. It's his guess. Interesting. Well, Adoree was a little banged up, right? I don't know. He'll be tested. Hawkins will certainly be tested. Flott will be tested. Our secondary is going to be tested because Washington does have weapons, and they're not scared to throw. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how our secondary holds up tomorrow. Is Daniel Jones playing? I don't think it's official yet, but it's like as close to official as it could be. Jordan Renan basically came out today and said he's not playing. All signs have been saying that he's not playing tomorrow. Dable, of course, is playing cat and mouse as he should, so he doesn't tip his hand with the opposition. But yeah, I don't think Jones is playing this week. Maybe next week. Who knows? But no, I don't expect to see him out there tomorrow. It might even be official by now. I'm not sure, but he's not playing tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't see him. There's no reason for him to play tomorrow.
Yeah. Let's see. I live in D.C. and around here, they are worried about Tyrod Taylor. Hey, he played decent last week. Didn't score any touchdowns, but he played decent last week. We'll see. I mean, Baddog, if we're being real, if you're a Washington fan, pretty much any Giants quarterback should scare you. Daniel Jones has looked like Joe Montana when he plays Washington.
Yeah, we just have Washington's number for whatever reason. We just seem to beat them. It's one reason I'm confident. I mean, I know every year is different, but it just seems like most of the time we find a way to win that game.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Let's see. Yeah, Jones is definitely out. Let's see. Tyree Phillips, Justin Pugh, Ben Bredesen, Glowinski, and Evan Neal. That sounds like hell.
Yeah.
But it's what we got. It's what we got. It's what we got to roll out there. It sounds bad, though. It sounds like tomorrow on your channel, I'm gonna be saying a lot of Tyrod Taylor drops back to pass, and he's dead. He's dead. He's dead. Wipe him off the floor. He's dead.
He's dead.
We'll see. What's up, Devon, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Max says Andrew Thomas is the X factor for this team, and Daniel Jones needs him. Well, of course, Daniel Jones needs him. Our offensive line is pitiful, even when he's in there, let alone when he's not. So yeah, any quarterback that played for this team needs Andrew Thomas. He's so important to this team, especially when you factor in how bad the rest of the line is. So I think a lot of fans are starting to appreciate him a bit more than maybe they already did. Not seeing Andrew Thomas out there with the way that this line is performing.
Yeah.
Although they did play,
huge.
yeah, they did play better last week, but still not great. Let's see. They activated DeVito. Yes, that's what it was. That's what I read, Raphael, from Rodon. Yeah, they activated DeVito, which basically said Jones is not playing, obviously. So, yeah, that's what I read.
For Jones to play. No reason. No reason.
Yeah. But we'll talk to you guys all night. Thank you guys for all the support. We'll be live on Bad Dogs tomorrow. We'll be calling the game as the Giants look to get to 2-5.
Yeah.
I hate
saying that. 2-5. It sounds horrible. It sounds freaking. It is horrible. It sounds horrible.
We're 27 minutes into this stream, Bad Dog, and I am amazed. I am absolutely amazed. We have not talked about the draft yet.
It must be a record. At some point. At some point, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially with being Saturday.
Yeah.
It's funny because I tweet out, it's time to watch Caleb Williams and then Michael Penix, and somebody puts Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not watching Caleb Williams and Michael Penix just because they could be Giants if we completely flop. I'm watching because I've been watching them for years. This is nothing new. I've been watching these two quarterbacks play for years because I like watching them play. I don't really care about UNC and Drake May. I don't really care. I don't care about JJ McCarthy. Like I watch these guys because they're good. Yeah. I've been watching Michael Penix since he was in Indiana. And watching Caleb Williams since he was at Oklahoma. I'm not saying Drake May is a bad quarterback. I'm not interested. Drake May ends up being a Giant, I'll be very interested. I'm just not right now.
Well, just like you weren't interested in Daniel Jones when he played in college.
I didn't even know Daniel Jones existed. Let's be honest. Not until those rumors came out. I never even knew who the hell he was. Yeah. Facts. Duke is actually pretty good this year.
Their quarterback is actually good this year. I know a lot of people won't want to draft the Duke quarterback, but he's pretty good, their quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're done with that. I think we are. I think we are too. Another Duke quarterback. I'm not doing Giants content until he's gone.
I'm not calling.
I'm not going through this shit again with Daniel. I'm not doing another Daniel Jones. I can't do any more Daniel Jones. Good, bad, or indifferent. I can't do it. It's too much.
I'm not calling the draft. I'm just saying I watched him play a couple of games. He's a good quarterback. He's good.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is exhausting, man. It's crazy. They're actually beating Florida State right now, 20-17.
He's a good quarterback. I don't want to draft the guy, but he's a good quarterback. Yeah. Let's see. What's the deal with
Chris Riley Leonard is 3 for 11 for 37 yards and an interception.
Oh, he's not playing good tonight.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So get that out of your head.
Let's see. Why would did the Jets trade Zach Wilson? No. Why would they trade Zach Wilson? They have no they're competing right now.
They have no quarterback.
They'd have no quarterback. No, absolutely not. Let's see. Keep the Duke players in basketball. Yeah, I agree with you for the most part. Although I will say, like Bad Dog said, the Duke football program is definitely definitely improving. They're ranked. They're like top 15, 20, whatever.
Like I said, they're beating number 4 Florida State. I hope they win. I'll move Oklahoma up. Hopefully they win.
And let's see, is Mike Kafka the guy moving forward? I don't know, to be honest with you. I long term, no. I think Dable's going to be the guy. I think eventually Dable's going to be the play caller. I don't know if it'll be next year. I don't know if it'll be the year after that. That's just my opinion. I think obviously they wanted to get a play caller to start because Dable's never been a head coach before. That's a lot for a guy to learn on the job. So I think eventually the plan will be for Dable to become the offensive coordinator because eventually Kafka is going to get another job. Whether he gets fired, he moves on somewhere else, or the Giants offense finds another gear and he gets attention that way. He was a guy that was in very high demand before the New York Giants picked him up. So Yeah, I think Dable is going to be. We talked about this last night too. I think Dable is going to be the eventual play caller for this offense. I don't know if it'll be next year or the year after that, but that's where I think it's headed for sure.
Yep.
Let's see. I mean, in theory, in title, they probably will. But I think Dable, if they move on, will probably be the play caller. If I had to guess, I don't know, but that's what I think will happen.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Like Patty said last night, you don't want too many chefs in the kitchen because ingredients can get mixed up, and I swear that's what's going on with this damn team. There's too much input.
Yeah. Let's see. Chris, is the Patriots versus Giants game would be who would get the first overall pick? So okay. I hate talking about the draft right now. But the tiebreaker for the draft. Yeah, I did. The tiebreaker for the draft pick in terms of draft selection has nothing to do with head-to-head record. It has everything to do with strength of schedule. That's the tiebreaker. So the stronger your schedule is, the further you pick. So if there's 4 teams, for instance, like right now, if you look on Tankathon, the Giants are 1-5, but they're picking 4. I think there's 5 teams that are 1-5, but they're picking 4th out of the 5 teams because they have the second hardest strength of schedule. So the higher your strength of schedule is, the further you pick. That's the tiebreaker. So it has nothing.
But the only thing is, we have the same record as the Pats, so we would have a worse record. We would have to.
Well, yeah.
We're losing the Patriots. I don't think we're winning a game the rest of the year. They're really bad. They're really.
Oh,
bad.
I think we'll beat the Patriots.
Mac Jones, Daniel Jones, Joe Judge. That's an ugly game.
Yeah, I think we'll beat the Patriots. I mean, the Giants never amaze me, so I wouldn't be shocked of anything. But I think we'll beat the Patriots. Let's see. We have nothing to fear but tanking itself. We're not tanking. We're just not good. But we're not tanking. But it's, we still may only win 4 games.
I don't think the Giants have had the number 1 overall pick in the Super Bowl era.
Never have. Lawrence Taylor and Barkley, that was the highest we've ever picked, number 2 overall. Yep. We've never had the first pick. We traded up for the first pick when we got Eli Manning. We traded for the guy who was the first pick.
Yes.
But we've never had the first pick in a draft.
Yeah. Well, we have, just it was pre-Super Bowl. I think they did it. Yeah.
And Lane says, what is the news on Buffalo Bills player that got injured on the field last Sunday? I have heard nothing. You're talking about, I think it was Damian Williams, the 3rd string running back. I have no idea. Hopefully he's okay. It didn't look good. Of course, he went off on the stretcher, but I don't know. I have no news on that. I'm still hurting from watching Gettleman let Zeitler walk. Yeah, to be honest with you, Bad Dog, I don't think it would have mattered. I mean, I wanted to bring back Zeitler. I thought it was a mistake to let him go. I wouldn't have signed Logan Ryan. That was like the one move that, when they first signed him, I was like, okay, let's see how the year plays out, because they signed him so early. It was in Christmas. It was in season. So I was like, let me see what they do this offseason. I'm not going to trash the move. But when I saw the culmination of everything, I said to myself, you could have just brought back Zeitler for the amount that you paid Logan Ryan. It didn't make any sense. But I don't think if Zeitler played here, I don't think he would have been very good, because our coaching is awful. And it just seems like whenever guys leave this team, they get better. So I don't think it would have meant much. I think the line still would have been really bad. But it was a bad decision. We should have kept him.
No, it wasn't just that. It's just they never replaced him with anybody. They let him walk and they didn't replace him. So, I hated that Logan Ryan contract. I didn't understand why they did it, but I didn't understand.
That was definitely a Joe Judge move.
Yep.
Because he had ties to Judge, and that was definitely a Joe Judge move, that one.
Yeah.
Dom says, Chris, I fear Daniel Jones' health going forward. This dude getting hit by everyone and injuries starting to pile up. This offensive line would turn Daniel Jones to Andrew Luck. Yeah, you should be. The guy had an injury history before this year. One significant injury. The rest were kind of, whatever, little dings here and there. But he had one really bad injury. And this one seems like it's maybe not quite on par with that one, but it's to the same part of the body. It's going to force him to probably miss at least another week or 2. He's only had 1 year, Bad Dog, his entire career, where he's been able to play a full season.
It's last year.
He's been the complete opposite of Eli Manning. So, and Eli Manning's rare, especially in the fashion that Daniel Jones plays. You probably shouldn't expect him to play a full season's worth of games when you're running as much as he is. But yeah, that is something that certainly become a pattern with Daniel Jones. He does have a track record with injuries.
Yes, he does. And again, the neck, Neck is a serious thing. That's not, I mean, that could happen again at any time. He gets hit wrong, he can go out for the year. I mean, if his neck gets hurt again, it can be done for the year. So, who
Dan,
knows?
Danny Duds, I don't think he was putting them in the same sentence to compare them as players. He was putting them in the same sentence because of the lack of help around them. Andrew Luck notoriously had they failed him miserably, and he had a lot of injuries because of it with the
And he
offensive line.
retired early because
Yeah,
of
and it
it.
forced him to retire. That was the comparison. I don't think he was comparing them as players. I don't think any sane person would.
Yeah.
Let's see. Burrow says, "What's the deal with Andrew Thomas? Is he injury prone?" I don't want to use the term injury prone yet because before this year, he had 2 straight years, I believe, where he didn't really miss any time at all, if I'm not mistaken. His
Right.
rookie year, he played hurt for the majority of the year. He had the foot injury. No, I would not label him injury prone yet. Now, if this continues, yeah, I think you could at least start to worry about it a bit. But no, I wouldn't go that far with Andrew Thomas yet. I think he kind of just had a freak injury. And it happened on the block punt of all things, the block field goal of all things, I think, right?
Yes.
So, but yeah, I think it was just a freak thing. I don't think he's injury prone yet, at least.
Let's hope not. They just gave him 5 years.
Yeah. Please. Toasty said, oh, I love Toasty's trivia questions. Giants trivia. Who is the only player in the Giants Ring of Honor to also play with Washington?
Sam Huff.
Oh, man, you're too quick. You're too quick.
Gotta be Sam Huff.
You're too quick.
Gotta be Sam Huff.
There you go. Yeah, I tried to think. Baddog got it out right away.
That may not be it, but that's my guess. It's got to be Sam Huff.
There you go. The guy says we need to get the rest of the ghetto trash era guys out. One I will be sad about is Barkley, and one I will be happy about is Danny Crimes. I think you're going to get your wish. I mean, the Gettleman guys that will remain at the end of the year. Jones will be here, obviously, because of his contract. But Thomas and Dex, those are the clear guys that will be here long term. But outside of that, yeah, within 2 years, I think you're going to, if this keeps trending down the way it is, I think you're going to get your wish, that guy. I think you're going to see an overhaul. Let's see. Oh, Carl Banks. I think Carl Banks did play for Washington. Didn't he?
He did.
Yeah. So he's in the Ring of Honor. So that was the question. Was the question he played for both teams or he's in both teams' Ring of Honor?
Sam Huff's in both teams' Ring of Honor. I know Sam Huff played for Washington, and I know he's in the Giants' Ring of Honor, and he's also in Washington's Ring of Honor.
So maybe he got the question wrong because I'm pretty sure Carl Banks did play for Washington.
Carl Banks did play for Washington for a year.
Yeah.
But Sam Huff is in both Rings of Honor.
I think we caught Toasty there.
We might have caught him.
We caught Toasty for once.
Yeah.
We stumped Toasty.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's see. After a great game against Buffalo, do you think Evan Neal can turn it around so we don't have to worry about tackle, or if he goes back to the burger flipper Neal? I hope, Max. I'm definitely not in favor of shifting him to the guard until the year ends. I want to see if he can get better at the tackle spot this year. I'm still giving him the full year before I completely say, let's give up on this guy and let's move him to the guard. Last week, at least, was somewhat encouraging. We'll see if it continues. So we'll see. But I'm not out on him yet as a tackle. But I think at the end of the year, if he's still playing like a burger flipper, I think that's when you move him to the left guard. And I'd play him at the left guard because he was more accustomed to playing on the left side in college. Plus, you play him next to Andrew Thomas. That should help build his confidence. But we'll see at year's end. Hopefully, he starts to trend towards being an average right tackle.
Yeah, listen, I hope that Neal can build off of what he did last week because he was really good, and we need him. Listen, burger flipper, no burger, whatever. We need that guy to be the number 7 overall pick. We need him to be to be an anchor on this offensive line. We need that guy to perform. We need him. So I'm hoping he can build off a good performance, and I'm hoping he gets it together. He's too damn talented to not. So
to me, he's one of the most important pieces. Like if you're looking for player development on this team for the rest of the year, he's probably the most important one that you want to be looking at for the remainder of the year. Because he's a guy that you're hoping is going to be a cornerstone piece at one of the more important positions on a football team. So his growth this year is really important over these last 10 or 11 games or whatever. Toasty said, along with Deonte Banks and John Michael Smith when he gets back out there. Toasty says, Super Bowl era, Banks is the only one. You got me. We stumped Toasty, man.
Yeah, stumped Toasty.
Stumped him. I'm going to have to come up with some trivia questions for him before we go live one of these days.
Right.
Dom says, Chris, I want the Giants to be competitive. I'm tired of the Giants being the laughing stock of the league. We suffer so much in the yeah, I think we're all tired of it.
Yeah, I'm sick of it.
I think we're all tired of it, Dom. I think we all agree that the team sucks. Some of us disagree on how to fix it, and that's okay. I don't see a quick fix to this team. I just don't. I think there's some people that think you flip the switch and you get a quarterback and things are going to be dandy. I don't see that. That doesn't mean I'm opposed to taking a quarterback under the right circumstances. I'm not. Sometimes you got to start over, and if there's a guy with a very high ceiling, but this is a multi-year fix if this keeps trending the way that it is with this offensive line. I mean, I may feel differently at the end of the year. If Evan Neal starts to play really well, I may say, all right, maybe we're not that far away, Baddog. Evan Neal looks like he could be a really good tackle, so on and so forth. But right now, this looks like a multi-year fix. This doesn't look like let's plug a quarterback in there and we're going to be good to go. No. There's a lot to grow on and a lot to build off of. So we'll see what happens throughout the rest of the year.
There's a lot of holes in this team, and there's a lot of guys that aren't going to be on this team next year. So there's going to be more moving parts.
Yeah.
And they have to figure it out. Like I said, the Gettleman era is being ushered out of here next year. There's going to be a lot of these Gettleman guys that are not here. And it's going to be Shane's guys and Brandon Brown's guys are going to be in here next year. And if we're bad enough, maybe their quarterback that's in here next year.
Yeah.
Who knows? I do know is Marvin Harrison Jr. was spectacular again today. I know that too.
Dude, Marvin Harrison's one of the – I'm going to say it right now. Marvin Harrison is the best wide receiving prospect I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, he was had 11 catches for 172 yards and a touch. The guy's just ridiculous.
That doesn't mean he's going to be the best wide receiver I've ever seen, but just prospect in college, I think he's the best one I've ever seen.
He's really good.
Like he's insane. Let's see what we got. And I appreciate you for dropping the link, Dire Giants fan. Let's see. That's who you all should be talking about, Marvin Harrison. I mean, I'd love to have him, Lucas. I'd love to have Marvin Harrison Jr. on this team. It all comes down to where we're picking. Right. He's gonna be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Jin says Neighbors, Coleman, Harrison, or I would take Harrison for me. Out of those guys, I would take Harrison. A lot of people, I can't even pronounce his name, but that's the other wide receiver on Ohio State, the last guy that he mentioned. I would take Harrison.
I'd take Harrison too, without question.
Harrison to me is he's perfect. He's tall. He's an incredible route runner. He's fast. He's like if you were to put a wide receiver in a lab, he would be the guy. He'd be the guy. He's like Devontae Smith, but with the height of a Plaxico Burress. Not quite as tall as him, but he's perfect. Like he's perfect.
Yeah, he's freaking good. That guy can play.
Yeah. Let's see. Yo, I'm a Bears fan, and the Bears are Giants fans. Right with you, brothers. We're the laughing stock every year, and we're drinking by week 5.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Which is why, Baddog, we play the Bears every year. It seems like on our schedule because we always finish in the same spot in our division.
Right. Just not this year. This year,
not this year.
We actually made the playoffs. If we were last, we would have faced you guys again.
We'll be playing them again next year.
Washington. You guys destroyed Washington.
We'll both finish 4th in the division this year, though, so we'll get them again. Toasty says, name a Giants player that sacked Eli Manning and Tony Romo and won a Super Bowl with the Giants. Wow, that's a very hard question.
Yeah, that's obscure.
So he sacked. Obviously he played during the mid-2000s. Sacked Eli and Romo. So you figure there's at least a decent chance he played in the division before he was a Giant. Doesn't mean he did, but at least a decent chance.
I think I know this one.
Who?
Chris Canty.
That's exactly who I was thinking. I swear to God, that's exactly who I was thinking. But Canty played with the Cowboys, didn't he? So he sacked Romo when he was a Giant, and he said, yeah. I think
Chris Canty.
I think you're right. I think it is Canty probably because that's the first thing that popped in my head because I was thinking about guys that played in the NFC East for multiple teams. I think you're right on that. I think it is Canty. I think you're right. People are saying JPP. Was it JPP? Well, oh, yeah, could be. Yeah. Yeah, good chance it's JPP, actually. Yeah, because obviously, when did he leave the Giants? He left the Giants towards the tail end of Eli's career. We played the Bucs that year. I don't remember if he got a sack.
Yeah, I mean, he was on Tampa, what, 2000?
We traded him Gettleman's first year, didn't we? Or no, was it? No, it was before that. It was before that. I can't remember when we got rid of JPP. When did we get rid of JPP?
I'd be 2018.
2018. Yeah, I think it was Gettleman's first year. So he had 1 year to get a sack on Eli Manning if he did. Let's see.
Well, maybe he did.
Was it 2014? No, it was 2008.
No, because I remember JPP getting swallowed up by Blake Bortles' RPOs against Jacksonville that year. It was Gettleman traded JPP. Reese never traded JPP.
Yeah. Let's see. Justin Tuck.
Tuck never played for the Cowboys, or didn't have to play for the Cowboys, I guess.
Yeah, he could have got it. Did he get a sack against Eli when he was a Raider? I don't know. He didn't get many after he left the Giants. Davey says, let's hope Tyrod can beat Washington and our starters are back next week. I mean, yeah. For Tyrod, just don't lose the game. He's a backup. That's what you hope from your backup. Do what you did last week. Don't lose us the game and hope that we can find a way to get a win. If he plays like he did last week, I think we're going to win this game. Let's see. Get JPP some fireworks.
Yeah, man, it was explosive. No question about that.
Only the Giants, man. Only the Giants can have a player that blows their hand off. Like, I'd have to think about it, Bad Dog. I know that we get hit with a lot of injuries. There can't be another team that gets hit with the amount of fluky injuries that we get hit with.
It's insane. I mean, we're just snake bitten, man. Everything is bad. When things are going bad, they're just going bad.
You got the ATV incident.
Our problem is we don't have depth, man. We talked about this last night with Patty. In 2007, we had guys. Guys just called up off the practice squad against the Cowboys in the divisional round. Still found a way to win. So
Crisco's not lying. He did lose us the game. He's right. Technically he did, but he played well. But yes, you're right. He did lose us the game.
Yeah, I was not smart.
Yeah. Daniel Jones would not have done that. That cost us at least 6 points last week. It probably cost us 10. Because at the end of the game you kicked the field goal to win the game rather than having to score a touchdown if you would have kicked the field goal at the end of the half when you should have. So it cost us at least 6 points, if not 10. So yes, that was a major screw up. Which I would normally give a pass to the backup quarterback, but a guy that's been in the league for 12 years or however long and he's got starters experience, that's completely unacceptable.
Yes. Yeah, a veteran he's a backup, but you've been in the league how many years? You know better. He knows better than that. That can't happen, man. You can't check to a run.
No. I mean, if you saw Taylor after the play, you could see that he thought they had a timeout because you saw him look like he wasn't hustling to the line. You could see that he thought that they had a timeout, which was insane. Like you can't, you got to be the guy above all else that knows how many timeouts the team has.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, if you're gonna do that, you do it at the end of the game when you just have one play. You drop your best play to get in the end zone because the time don't matter. It's one untimed down.
Yeah,
you could do it there.
No. And Toasty says, pretty sure it was just Canty. Probably that was the first name I thought of too. We'll say JPP blocked the field goal after Coughlin iced Bailey against Dallas. It was crazy. Don't win that without him. That was nuts. Yeah,
we don't win that game without Eli either. We were down 34-22 with 5 minutes to go when Eli drove us down. That was the year, man. Eli should have won MVP. Also, Tony Romo missing a wide open Miles Austin.
Yes,
I remember that. He was wide open down the side. I think it was Miles Austin. Somebody was wide open down the sideline, and Romo overthrew him.
I actually rewatched that whole drive in one of my live streams before the year started when we were going up against the Cowboys. That is one of the most overlooked Eli Manning moments of his entire career.
Chris Collinsworth was giving him a ton of credit.
It's
just incredible. Eli was incredible that year.
Yeah, like that.
He was carried. People say he's carried. Yeah, I love it. Eli's overrated. My question always is, how can a guy be overrated when people do nothing but shit on him? Nobody commends him. So how can he be overrated when you talk about how great a guy is and he ain't that great? Everybody
Eli
else, I mean,
Manning,
Giants fans love him, but everybody else like, oh, he ain't even a Hall of Famer. You're smoking crack.
Eli Manning is the Patrick Ewing of the New York Giants. Only Patrick Ewing didn't win. He's one of those guys that you didn't appreciate as much as I did and you did, but a lot of fans did not. He's one of those guys that you did not appreciate, or a lot of people did not appreciate as much as they probably should have. Well, he wore the Giants blue. Same thing with Patrick Ewing with the New York Knicks, and he's a guy that when he left, you realize how much you missed the guy.
I said this, I did a video.
Yeah.
I mean, Daniel Jones hasn't won anything, but I was around for Phil Simms. The guy was underappreciated. Like, even I saw, I think on Twitter, the stream there, the little podcast or whatever that Banks, well, it was Banks, Sims, and Bob Papa. And I said, just seeing Sims and Banks together, it puts a smile on my face. I mean, that's my childhood. And I said, both Banks and Sims belong in Canton. And then somebody commented, and she was just like, I love you, Bad Dog, but Banks, yes, Sims is not a Hall of Famer. I don't understand. Sims is a Hall of Famer. A guy threw almost 200. He had 199 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He was a Super Bowl MVP. He was leading the Giants to a second Super Bowl. I know Hostetler won that. He threw for over 30,000 yards in his career. I mean, and it's at a time when they didn't throw a lot. You got to compare him to his peers. And he was a top 10 quarterback in his day. So, he wasn't Joe Montana. He wasn't Dan Marino. But he was every bit as good as Joe Theismann was. He was every bit as good as, I'm trying to even think of guys that played.
He was
Tommy Kramer. I mean, Tommy Kramer for the Vikings. He's better than Jim McMahon was. He's better than Jay Schrader was. I mean, he was better than Boomer Esiason was.
Come on.
Seems like a Hall of Famer, man.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But they don't give any credit.
If Sims never got hurt, he was there for that second Super Bowl, he's absolutely already in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But David says, just because I love your guys' show. Well, thank you, David, man. We love you. Thank you for being here, and we'll be here live next week doing the show on Bad Dogs channel. But thank you for being here, Dave, man. Appreciate all the support.
I'll tell you, I'm looking at this. Caleb's struggling again tonight, man. He was only 14 to 20 for 139 in the first half. And he's
playing another really good defense. Utah's got a great defense.
Utah does have a great defense.
When you can't block, you're starting to get a taste, Giants fans, if you want Caleb Williams.
That's what I'm saying. I said that last week. Shane brought the Giants offensive line so he could practice.
And Toasty says that would be fun to rewatch some old games. Yeah, I've talked about that in the past. Maybe that's something I'll do in the offseason this year. Pick out a game or two to rewatch on live stream. That'd be cool to rewatch. We'll pick out not a random game, a big game. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll make that a thing once a week or something during the dead time of the offseason. I like that idea, Toasty.
Yeah, I'd start with that 1990 NFC Championship game, man.
Yeah, that's your favorite. That is your favorite game.
My favorite. I freaking love that game. I love it.
Yeah. I still think my favorite game. It's so hard, man, because there's so many good ones.
Trust me, young Giants fans. We used to be good.
Yeah.
we had a lot of moments. We had a lot of moments. Just why it's so frustrating for me, because I know what this franchise was for a quarter of a century, and it was really good. And we also play spoiler. We have beat a lot of undefeated teams late in the year. We obviously did it to the Patriots. We did it to the 98 Broncos. I remember that. So we certainly put the kibosh on some pretty damn good teams in our day.
I think my favorite Giants game of all time. I mean, of course, the easy answer is the undefeated Patriots, but I think I'm going to go with that Packers game. I think I'm going to go with the Packers NFC Championship game. And there's some other ones. That 2000 team I loved. Obviously the 41-0 butt whooping against Minnesota. That's up there for me. I think I'm going to go with that Packers game, man, with like the negative 30-degree temperatures. I think I'm going with that one. I think that's my favorite Giants game of all time.
Yeah.
There's so many good ones.
We had a lot of good ones. The Cowboys one was good. We knocked them out of the postseason. That was fantastic. Yeah, we had a lot of good ones, man. A lot of good ones. Going into Green Bay and absolutely molly-whopping the 15-1 Packers.
Yeah.
Still beauty. The NFC Championship game in 2011, Kyle Williams fumbling a couple of balls.
Yeah.
I had some good memories. Wide right against the Bills in '90. That's my favorite Super Bowl team of all of them, the 1990 Giants. We've had some heartbreak though, man. I tell you, '89 against the Rams, that was a bitch. Flipper Anderson running right into the tunnel. We had no business losing that freaking game. No business losing that game. '97 against the Vikings. That was terrible. We're up 19-3.
The timeouts with the timeouts.
Chris Callaway can't field an onside kick. Lose.
Yeah.
Blowing a 38-14 lead halfway through the third quarter in San Fran in 0-2. That was ass.
Yeah.
The 2008 Giants is the best overall team I think I've ever seen in my life. And that includes the 86 Giants because the Giants just beat the shit out of everybody, including the world champion Pittsburgh Steelers. They became champions.
And the Cardinals in the regular season.
Yep, beat the Cardinals, beat the Steelers. We crushed the Ravens, crushed them 30-10. Plexico Burst didn't play against Seattle. I remember we beat them 44-6.
Yeah.
We just beat the holy hell out of everybody that year till Burris shot himself. But that 2008 divisional against the Eagles, it killed me because the Cardinals were not going to the Meadowlands and winning. So we were going to be in that Super Bowl. That was rough. So again, there's been good and there's been bad. There really hasn't been any heartbreaking losses recently because, quite frankly, we haven't been really good.
I think the Cowboys game was pretty heartbreaking to start the year.
It was disappointing.
It obviously wasn't a gut-wrenching loss, like in terms of it being in the balance, like the Eagles game, with the Miracle at the Meadowlands Part 2. But
yeah, that was another one.
That definitely hurt me though to start the year.
Yeah.
Cliffside says, which games I was going to go to the Jets-Giants game. We'll see, Cliffside. We'll see if this team starts to play better. Maybe I'll go to a game at the end of the year. But I'm asking myself, Baddog, is it even worth it? Like
not with the ticket prices. You would think the ticket prices dropped.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
The Jets one's a Jets home game, right? No, it's a Giants home game. Last time
it's Giants home game. Yeah.
We went last time it was a Jets home game.
Main event. What's going on, man? What's up, guys? Big fan of you guys. Should I keep KJ Osborne of the Vikings as my flex? Or should I start Barkley or George Pickens as my flex? Oh, you're going Barkley, I think. I mean, I'm sure it's a PPR league. That's why you're asking that. And I'm sure KJ Osborne has gotten increased value because Justin Jefferson got hurt. But yeah, man, I'm going Barkley. I think he's by far the safest of those three. You know he's going to get a ton of touches. I think I'll have a good game tomorrow. I would go with Barkley for sure out of those three.
I think Barkley's the safest bet. I love George Pickens, but Kenny Pickett sucks. Yeah. So I think the Giants are going to you're going to see a heavy dose of 26 in that game. So I think he's the safest bet. He's going to get the most touches. That doesn't mean he's going to be able to run the ball, but he's going to get a lot of touches. And if the Giants get inside the 5, he's going to be the guy that they try to pound the rocket with. So I'll go Barkley myself.
Yeah, I think especially when you're talking about a flex, you kind of want safe there, right? You want a guy that you know is going to get you at least.
You want a guy with more touches, right?
Yeah, and Barkley has as much upside as those guys too. So I think Barkley's the clear pick there.
Yeah, Barkley
Chris says, what'd you say, Baddog?
I said Barkley can also catch it out of the backfield. Not that we really utilized him there, but he can do that too.
Yeah, I'd like to see them do that more. We say that every year, but they haven't used him in that capacity really at all this year. Chris says, hate rooting for us to lose for a better draft pick. I won't do it. At the end of the year, I get to a point where I'm just like, whatever. Like, if it's like our 15th or 16th game and, the team's like has 3 wins, I'm never going to go into a game being like, I want us to lose. But I will get to the point where I'm like, yeah, if we
don't
lose,
care.
whatever. I don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like in 2021, we were just laughing at how bad they were. I mean, it didn't even matter. We didn't care. We knew we weren't going to win. We knew we had no chance. So it's like, we'll stream the game. We'll just make a bunch of jokes. We'll laugh at how bad they are. And we'll wait for the offseason. And hopefully it doesn't get to that point. But if we're into December with 1 or 2 wins, it's going to be the toilet paper playbook and the circus music and all the paper bag and all that stuff.
Hopefully not, but, hopefully we don't get to that point. James says, my least favorite Giant game was the Deshaun Jackson punt return. That's my least favorite game as well. I'll never forget watching it, crushing. I say it all the time, James, true story. If you haven't been in my streams before, I shut my phone off and I didn't turn it on for 4 days. when the Giants lost that game. That's a true story. What year was that? That was 2010?
2012, 2010.
2012.
Sorry, no, 2010.
2010, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Because
So
we
I was.
finished. I think we finished 10-6 and missed the playoffs. If we would have won that game, we would have been the second seed in the NFC.
I was 25 years old then. I literally turned my phone off. Didn't turn it on for 4 days. That's how depressed I was after that game.
I was not happy. I can remember this. I remember my buddy. I remember Kenny Phillips missing a big tackle. I forgot who it was on, and the guy went for like a long touchdown. And I remember my friend, he was a Giants fan, was like, "Oh, good, I get fantasy points." I'm like, "Dude," I'm like, "You don't root for them to score a touchdown. Who gives a shit about your fantasy? You don't give them an easy touch." I was livid because I know the Philadelphia bullshit. I've seen that. I go all the way back to Viceham punching the freaking bag at the goalpost, okay? I go back to Viceham. I go back to Brian Westbrook returning the kick on Sunday night. We were up 10-7 with less than 2 minutes ago, and they kicked the damn ball to him. They couldn't move the ball, but they kick it to him. And then they did this shit again against Deshaun Jackson. I saw a blocked freaking field goal go for a touchdown. Clyde Simmons picked it up. I saw Carl Banks have Randall Cunningham on the ground, and he got out of it into a touchdown. I've seen
you want to know another play? You want to know another game that's not on the level in terms of heartbreak as these games, but that day I was super depressed. It was the Matthias Kiwanuka game with Vince Young.
Dude, we turned that game off.
Yeah,
because my buddy had DirecTV, and it was early. I mean, this was early having like the NFL. We're like, all right, it's like 10 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago, whatever it was in the fourth quarter. Turned it off. 21-0 Giants, game's over. So, okay, I was like, we can change it because there's a bunch of guys there. It's not just Giants fans. My buddy's an Eagles fan. One of my buddies is a Lions fan. One of my buddies is a Steelers fan. So, it was just a bunch. There's 3 Giants fans, but then everybody else roots for somebody else. We're like, yeah, you can change. This game's over. And then we looked, I'm like, how the hell is it 21-21? What is Kiwanuka supposed to do? That's the problem. This is way back in the day. He's like, I can't drive him into the ground. Why didn't they blow the whistle? He thought it was over.
Yeah.
And then you know what? If a guy nowadays does that and they don't blow the whistle, he throws him down, they'll throw him roughing the passer.
Yeah. That I was kind of just like numb after that. That was a numb moment for me. Toasty said, and the Super Bowl loss is up there too. It has to be the 2000 Super Bowl loss to the Ravens.
We lost to a better team. I could live with it. I thought the Giants overachieved that year.
Yeah,
I honestly did. I didn't think we'd get blown out.
They definitely overachieved that year.
I thought we'd give them a good game. The holding penalty on who was it? Keith Hamilton on the interception for a touchdown. That hurt.
Yeah,
that was kind of the end of that.
Oh, that was brutal. Toasty says that one punt return ruined match Dodgers. We've had several moments where special teams have been crippling for this team. The 49ers game in the playoffs with the botch, and there was like
couldn't snap it.
There was like 2 or 3 botch snaps in that game, right? Because we had a backup snapper in that game.
They brought Trey Junkin in just for that reason because they couldn't snap the ball all year.
Yeah, and he screwed up. That wasn't the only one he screwed up in that game. There was multiple, right?
No. Yeah. And then on top of that, there was a pass interference call that was never a freaking call.
That on the same
we messed up.
Yeah.
A lot of good that doesn't now. It should have never come to that anyway.
Of course. We had like a 25-point lead or whatever it was.
I remember the Jets. The Jets beat the shit out of somebody. Might have been Indianapolis. I don't remember. They killed somebody the day before. And the Giants are up 38-14. And I'm like, Jets Giants Super Bowl. Here we go, baby. These guys are on fire. And the Giants completely blew it. Completely blew it. And I think the Jets lost to the Raiders the week after.
Danny Dodd says, my favorite video on YouTube is your reaction of the DJ pick. I don't know if you're talking about me or, well, we're together in a lot of them. I was watching live that day. After 5 years, we could say DJ is exactly who we thought he was. I mean, I don't want to be happy. I don't want to be right about that. But, unfortunately, if he's not the future of this team, we had the correct reaction on draft night. I'm not proud of that. I pray to God I'm wrong, like I've said all along. And, I think one thing you could say about me and Baddog, for sure, we've been as fair as possible for Daniel Jones. For 2 guys that are going to be the poster child. If Daniel Jones turns out to be the guy, I've supported him as much as I can. And I'm going to continue to support him as long as he's the Giants quarterback. But I'm going to be fair. And if this team bombs this year, yeah, I'm going to talk about potentially drafting a quarterback. But yeah, I don't want to be right about that. I want to look like an absolute buffoon. I'm still not happy I made that reaction the way that I did, but it is what it is.
To me, this didn't have anything to do with Daniel Jones as much as it did passing on Josh Allen. How good is Josh Allen this year? What's he got? 7 sacks. I mean,
he's been great this
year.
Allen,
he's a freaking beast. Chris and I didn't think he'd fall to us. There's no way he was getting a 6. And then when he got to 6, it's like, oh my God, we can get you. When Clelin Ferrell went to the Raiders, we're like, oh my God, we're gonna get Josh Allen.
By the way,
I wasn't even listen. I'm going to tell you, I wasn't even a Dwayne Haskins fan at all. I didn't want Dwayne.
You weren't. Yeah, you weren't.
But I did not want Daniel Jones. I said I'd rather have Dwayne Haskins than Daniel Jones at that point.
Yeah.
But when Daniel Jones became a Giant, I'm not going to sit here and root for him to lose because I don't like Daniel Jones, so I hope he sucks. I ain't that guy at all. If he sucks, I will tell you he sucks. And if he's good, I will tell you. I did nothing but support that guy last year. In this offseason, I went to bat for him like nobody's business because
he deserved it. He deserved it last year. Yeah.
I love when people are like, this aged poorly. Well, when you make the video, you're talking about current stuff. What happens 2 years in the future has no bearing on what happened 2 years in the past. Anybody can go back and go, that's a bad take. Who gives a shit? When you make it, it's not a bad take. We are talking about current events with sports. The pulse of sports changes week in and week out. So everybody that does these power rankings, I guess they can't change their mind. Yeah, I say this all the time. You've been up and down on Daniel Jones. So, like I said, your first person you ever date, girl, whatever it is, girl, boy, whatever, I don't care. You can never leave them, no matter what happens. Can't change your mind about that. Can't change your mind. First job you ever take, can't go in there and go, oh, this isn't what I thought it'd be. I'm leaving. Nope, got to stay there. Not allowed to change your mind because things change, because situations changed. You're not allowed to. Bad dog, you were bad on you. You have to stay on that side. You can't come over here.
Stupid.
I don't understand it. I don't get
it's stupid.
Who is anybody to tell anybody how to feel or root for whatever against the Who are these people? You can't do that. You're a fake fan. Who are you to tell anybody they're a fake fan because they root differently than you, especially on the internet? Who the hell are these people? Who are they?
Cliffside says,
I don't understand. What gives you the right to tell somebody how to root for the Giants? I just want to know. If people don't like Daniel Jones, they don't like him. I'm not going to kill somebody because their opinion is different than mine. It is what it is. So I said, I agree. He sucks. I agree. It's the offensive line. I agree. I'm not arguing it anymore. I'm just going to go.
There's nobody worth defending right now.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. If people don't like Daniel Jones, if people want a different quarterback, that does not mean that they're fake fans. It means that they want a change because this has not worked. No. And the people that want Daniel Jones here, I understand it because he's a Giant and you want to support your guy, and we want him to be the guy.
Yeah,
I get both sides of this.
And I think I think a lot of people that support Daniel Jones also look at it like there's a lot more to it than just him, and they identify the line as being the primary problem, which I do as well. But I'm also of the belief when you can draft an upper echelon quarterback prospect, which I hope we're not in that position, but if we are, you do it. So we'll figure out where it's going at the end of the year. Cliffside says, "Who's the most electrifying returner you saw play for the New York Giants?" I mean, what's his name was great until he got hurt. The running back. What's his name?
David Wilson?
David Wilson. He was great for that 1 year. But the guy that stands out to me, at least for a single year, I know Meggett. It was a great punt return.
It would be Meggett for me.
But the guy that stands out to me for a singular year is Hickson. I think it was, right? Hickson in the year where we went to the Super Bowl in 2000. He was great that year.
It wasn't Hickson. That was Dixon. Ron Dixon.
Dixon. He, for a single year, he was probably the best returner I've ever seen in a New York Giants uniform.
Yeah, I think he returned a touchdown. He returned one in the Super Bowl for a touchdown, and he returned one against the Eagles. Yep.
Yeah, and he had some good returns in the regular season too.
Yeah.
So he's probably the best I've ever seen in a Giants uniform for a single year.
Yeah,
but I know
Meggett was really good.
Yeah. Toasty says favorite non-Giant of all time. Mine is Breeze. Mine's Larry Fitzgerald.
That's tough. It's really between a few guys for me. Jerry Rice. I freaking love Jerry Rice and Barry Sanders. I don't know if I could choose. Like, I love both, and Reggie White. Like, there's so many good football players I grew up watching that I just absolutely loved. But it's got to be between Rice and Sanders. I just loved watching both of those guys do their thing. I mean, if I had to choose, that's tough. I love both of those guys. Adrian Peterson's also right at the top of the list.
He's great.
I freaking loved AP. I mean, it's the whole reason I'm an Oklahoma fan is because of him.
Barry Sanders is certainly up there. Jerry Rice is certainly up there for me. Obviously, I was young, but I remember them. I fell in love with the sport due in large part to those guys. Steve Young, I used to love watching as a kid.
There were some good players when I was growing up, man. Really good players. Yeah, Eric Allen, Johnny Latourneau, but I loved Eric Allen. It's my favorite Eagle of all time.
It was short-lived, but you want to know a guy that I used to really like? He was only good for maybe like 2 or 3 years. I really like Natron Means. He was fun to watch.
Natron Refried Means.
He was fun to watch. Jerome Bettis, of course, in his prime was really fun to watch.
Goldstein said Warren Moon. I loved Warren Moon. I loved Warren Moon. The run and shoot offense in Houston, yeah.
Oh, Warren Moon was great. Warren Moon was great.
I love the history of sports. I love talk about it forever.
And
I got one of these days I got to go to the Football Hall of Fame just because I've been to Cooperstown a number of times. And Springfield's not too far away from me, but I'm not a big fan of the Basketball Hall of Fame. I've been there a couple of times. I love Cooperstown. Oh my God. It's amazing. That's
favorite Giant of all. That's easy for me. I mean, I know it's easy for Bad Dog too, because LT was his era. Eli was mine.
Yep.
So I didn't grow up with LT. Eli was my guy. But yeah, my first Giant I fell in love with was Tiki. Named my dog after him. But my all-time favorite Giant by a wide margin is Eli.
Floyd threw up Chuck Cecil. The Chuck Cecil, man, one of the hardest hitting safeties in the league, played for the Phoenix Cardinals back in the day. I remember Chuck Cecil. You're talking about hard hitting safeties. Another guy, like Joey Browner of the Vikings, David Fulcher of the Bengals. I was a big Steve Atwater was one of my. I loved Steve Atwater.
John
Christian Okoye, dude. Huh?
John Lynch was a good safety.
Yes, he was.
Palomalu was ahead of his time. Like, imagine Troy Polamalu in this day and age, because he was kind of that
first hybrid
do it
money backer
before they existed.
Yeah.
So like Troy Polamalu today, like he was way ahead of his time. He was an incredible football player. Ed Reed. I mean Brian Dawkins. I hate him, but he was a great safety.
Screw him. He don't get mentioned.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah.
Eli Manning over Michael Strahan is nasty. I mean, I love Strahan too. He was the first guy I thought about when we won the Super Bowl in 2007. I love Strahan to death, but no, I got to go Eli. For me, I'm going Eli.
Yeah, for me, it's Lawrence Taylor. There's no question. I think Lawrence Taylor, Mark Bavaro, I loved those guys. Eli Manning's probably my second favorite Giant. Maybe third. Him and Bavaro but LT's all. I mean, I tell a story all the time. The first time I ever really sat down and watched the Giants, the first thing my dad said was he told me just watch 56. It's first thing he said, watch 56, watch LT. I didn't even know what the hell LT meant. He just said watch 56, watch LT, because I know what the hell he meant. I'm like, what's LT?
I will say Strahan was a better player than Eli. To the comment. But we're talking about our favorite players. But Strahan was a better player than Eli.
We were talking about favorite players that weren't even Giants.
Yeah. And John Letourneau says, Bad Dog, Chris, Schwarber and Harper, Homer. I know y'all hurt. The Phillies, man. I gotta tip my cap, man.
I don't care about. I heard that the Yankees didn't go after Bryce Harper years ago. That hurt. Yeah. I don't care about the Phillies. The Phillies aren't my rival. Red Sox.
They're mine. I can't stand them, but
I know you can.
I tip my cap, man. They find a way to get it done in the playoffs, man. Yeah. Lumbegas says 21-year-old Giants haven't been good since I was a little kid. I am loyal until the day I die. But, man, I yearn for the day for consistent wins in my life.
Luckily, you're only 21, so you got a long ways to go before that happens. Maybe they'll be good in your lifetime.
I yearn for the day where we don't have to talk about the good times, where we live in the good times.
I guess the good thing about being a Giants fan, Chris, is we can talk. We have had good times. A
Yeah,
lot of franchises haven't, so we're lucky in that aspect.
yeah. I still yearn for that though. Where we're talking about the team, the here and now, where it's not one surprise season, where it's 4 consecutive seasons where we're one of the better teams in the league. I yearn for that. Cliffside says 86 versus '07. Oh, okay. Suburbanites versus the '07 NASCAR. If they had to play a game against each other, who'd win the battle in the trenches? Oof.
The 86 Giants would crush
Yeah.
the '07 Giants. That's not even a
Well,
contest.
I agree the team was better, but would they crush them in the trenches?
They would just, there's no way that
Yeah.
07 team stopping the 86 defense. It's nobody.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
86 defense was one of the best you've ever seen. You couldn't
Yeah.
do anything against that. They could not do anything against that team. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Burt, Leonard. I love Leonard. I actually put that on Twitter. So who's the most? I love. It's one of the best tweets I put out there. Was I thought that was so cool. I put out like who's the most underrated Giant like in history, and mine's Leonard. I always say Leonard, big Leonard. And some of the names that people came up with, I loved it. Like Mark Collins is one of my favorite. I love Mark Collins. Somebody said Chad Bratsky. I forgot all about Chad Bratsky, how awesome he was. And a guy said William Roberts. William Roberts was a beast on our offensive line. Like I'm like, I forgot about a lot about these. Brian Williams was another. Somebody mentioned that he was a really good lineman for us years ago. Somebody put Seahorn, and I'm like, yeah, Seahorn was freaking great when he, if he could have just stayed healthy. But that was really cool seeing a lot of those names. A lot of people pick Carl Banks. Understandable. I mean, Banks should be in the Hall of Fame. So that was cool. Just to talk about it. But
There's a bunch of guys from that Giant team who should probably be in the Hall of Fame.
yeah,
I know this one, Justice's dad. He asked, I'm pretty sure I do. Who scored the Giants' first touchdown in the Super Bowl 42? That would be David Tyree.
yep.
David Tyree caught a pass from Eli Manning.
Yeah, back in the end zone, fourth quarter.
You can make a strong argument that David Tyree should have won the MVP of that Super Bowl. Caught a touchdown and he made the helmet catch. I mean, Israel.
Yeah, but Eli got out of it. Eli threw 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Eli, I mean, I'm glad.
And the quarterback's always going to get the nod.
Yeah.
You go back to
gotten it. The D line was incredible. So
you go back in the end of the history, unless it's like cut and dry. There's 2 Super Bowls. Look at the name of the Super Bowl. Okay, Namath won the MVP. Matt Snell should have won the MVP, in my opinion. Matt Snell ran for 120 yards and a touchdown in the game. Jets won the game because Matt Snell was running the ball all over the Colts.
But people don't remember that. They remember Namath's
George Sauer had most of Namath's receiving yards. I think it was George Sauer that had like 8 catches for 130 yards. Then go to the next year, they gave it to Len Dawson. Len Dawson threw over 142 yards, had 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Otis Taylor had 6 catches for like 90 yards and a touchdown. Why didn't Otis Taylor win the damn MVP? Johnny Robinson had 2 turnovers. You could have given it to him, but they gave it to Len Dawson. It happens. Quarterbacks get it a lot of times when, if it's, like I said, if it's not like blatant, where the quarterback has a bad, like Trent Dilfer, for instance. They weren't giving it to Trent Dilfer.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah, no, you're right. The quarterback usually gets it, unless it, like you said, unless it's like blatantly obvious it needs to be somebody else.
Yes.
Israel says Lawrence Taylor and non-Giants refrigerator Perry, showing my age. Hey man, we were talking about that on Patty's stream. How about we use Dexter Lawrence like that?
We're the same age in Israel because it's my day too.
Yeah,
refrigerator Perry, that was a big deal in '85. The '80s were a good time.
Cliffside says, I just meant, that's what I said. Yeah, that's what I figured. That's what I said to Baddog. I just meant the O-line versus D-line. It would be a good battle. The Giants' offensive line was really good in 07, 08. But like Baddog said, and I didn't get a chance to appreciate that team, you're talking about one of the top defensive fronts in the history of the NFL. I mean, you're talking about one of the top, Baddog? Would you say the top 4 or 5 pass rushers ever?
Easily. Yeah.
So
that front 7 was ridiculous.
Yeah. So as good as that Giants offensive line was, and I think they'd hold their own. I don't think they'd get embarrassed against that defensive front. I think you have to give the edge to the 86 defensive line. But
yeah, the 86 offensive line was really good too. I mean, Joe Morris ran for 1,500 yards that year.
Yeah.
So
but I will say the 07 defensive line would hold its own probably against as good as the offensive line was in 86. the 07 pass rush, which featured Strahan, Tuck, OC, they would probably fare decent too. So it would be a pretty good matchup, I think. Line versus line. Be a pretty good matchup. But Lawrence Taylor's Lawrence Taylor. He's the X factor.
Yeah, just remember that the 1986 Giants were the best team in football, and that was not close that year. They were the best team. The 07 Giants were not the best team in football. No. They just got hot when it mattered most. But they were that's why I'd give the edge to the 86 Giants.
The 86 team collectively is a much better team. Not even close. Yeah. The 07 team at their best was a great team, but they were not. Yeah, but they were not great throughout the totality of the year like 86 was.
Those it's funny because between the two, like the 86 and 90 Giants, they missed the playoffs in 87, and that's because of the strike. It had a lot to do. There was a weird year. So, but then they were in the play. They missed the playoffs in 88 because they lost to sorry, I forgot this was your channel. They lost to the Jets. They lost, I think it was Al Toon caught a freaking pass in a meaningless game for the Jets. And we had to have it. We lost. They lost, and they missed the playoffs in 88 with a 10-6 record. Then in 89, they were 12-4 in that damn Flipper Anderson game, and then they won the Super Bowl 90. The 2007 Giants win the Super Bowl. 2008, they're the best team in football. Not close. Burris shoots himself out. 2009, we started off 5-0, finished 8-8, missed the playoffs. 2010, there it is again, 10-6. We lose that stupid game to Philadelphia to miss the playoffs. And then 2011, they win the Super Bowl. It's weird how those 5-year spans work. So as I said on Twitter, 1986 and 1990 won the Super Bowl. 2007, 2011 won the Super Bowl. Giants fans, mark your calendars. 2028, 2032, Super Bowl champs.
I'll sign up for that right now. The patterns have not worked for me as a Met fan, but hopefully they work as a Giants fan. I always used to say when I was in like junior high, I'd be like, oh, they won in 69, 86, 17 years. That means they're going to win in whatever that would be, but never happened. But hopefully it happens with the Giants.
The only thing I'll say about the 86 team, I saw Ronald John, or not, wasn't him. Somebody said it up there. Oh, the 86 Giants, it was. Beat some of the all-time great teams. The 86 Giants didn't play the Bears. They didn't play the Bears in 86. But I always go back to Washington. Washington was 13-5 that year, including the postseason. They were 0-3 against the Giants. They were 13-2 against everybody else. And the Giants beat the Broncos twice. They beat them in the regular season. They beat them in the Super Bowl. So
now to be fair,
crushed the 49ers. That's a great game. You want to talk about a fun game to watch? That one was fun.
Now to be fair to what Ronell said, and you can't compare the teams. I'm in complete agreement. The 86 team is leaps and bounds better than the 07 team.
Yeah, but nobody they played is better than the 07 Patriots.
If we're talking about elite teams,
I agree with that. I agree.
The 86 teams didn't beat a team close to the 07 Patriots.
I agree. No, there was no team like the 07 Patriots.
Yeah. And Toasty says, how would you rate your teams in order of most desperate to see a title? For me, it's Giants, Yankees, then Knicks.
Knicks for me. I've never seen it happen.
Yeah, I say it all the time, man. I think my favorite team is the Giants when push comes to shove. They're all very close. I love the Mets. I love the Knicks. I think the Giants are my favorite team, but it's close. But I think I'm more desperate to see the Knicks and Mets win because I've never seen them win. So that's the tiebreaker for me. But I mean, listen, if any of them win, I'm going to be ecstatic. I just say it all the time, Bad Dog. That nothing is ever going to match my first time ever. It's never going to be top.
No matter what it is.
Ever.
It can be top in certain aspects of life, but that one can't be.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can't say it. Mine was top. I love the 86 Giants, but I think I might have been a little bit too young to understand the history. Like I said, my dad understood it. He grew up through the 70s. And again, this runs deep in my bloodline. My grandfather was around for the inception of the Giants. This is deep. This is why I love the Giants. This is in my blood. It is in my blood. This isn't just something I decided. Hey, it's not like the Sooners where I just said, hey, I'm going to pick a college team and I'm going to root for them. That is not in my blood. Even the Knicks or not, my dad didn't really care about basketball. Neither my grandfather. I just said, well, I like watching basketball. I'm going to be a Knicks fan if I root for the Giants or the Yankees.
Right.
Same thing with the Yankees. It's in my bloodline. The Yankees are probably my favorite team because I just love baseball to death. And, but they're all very close, like you said. But I've never seen the Knicks win. I saw the Rangers win in 94. I saw 5 by the Yanks, 4 by the Giants. I've seen 10 championships. I've seen the Knicks get close twice. 94 was certainly heartbreaking. I could tell it's one of the few times I actually cried in sadness because my team lost.
How many? That's a good question. Over the course of your life, and I'm curious to get the chat's take on this too. Renell says the Giants have produced the most chips as a sports fan. For me, yeah, the only two that Renell for me, because I'm a Knicks and a Mets fan. I'm not a Yankee fan. So Yankees for most New York fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bad Dog. So over the course of your life, how many times have you been brought to tears of sadness over your sports teams?
Twice, maybe 3 times. 3 times.
Yeah.
95 when the Yankees lost to Seattle. I just
because
I was inconsolable. We had them. We were up 2 games, and I'd never seen them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like I said, my grandfather lived through Ruth and Gehrig and DiMaggio and Mantle and Ford. He saw them all, and obviously saw the 70s. My dad, he got Munson, he got Reggie, he got Chris Chambliss, he got Guidry, he got Goose. He got those guys. I didn't have those guys. I had Mattingly, who I loved to death. I had Winfield, Ricky Henderson, but they didn't win anything. And 95, I wanted Mattingly to win so bad. And I didn't know it was last year. But man, that Edgar Martinez hitting that Jack McDowell breaking, I just fell to the ground. I was just so upset about that. And then luckily for me, things turned around. But yeah, the first time was definitely Game 7. I wanted the Knicks to win so bad. I was so sick and tired of losing. I was so sick and tired of losing to the Bulls. Yeah. And the fact that Jordan retired and they finally got there, that was crushing. And then in 96, after Greg Maddux shut us out in Game 2, I remember not really like bawling, just tears coming out. I'm like, I'm never going to see the Yankees win a damn World Series. I'm never going to see it happen. We're not. And then everything turned around. And then, my God, I was spoiled. I was freaking spoiled for the next 5 years.
Well, I think all Giant Yankees fans rather were for those years. It's
Yeah.
Three
times. I remember the Flipper Anderson. I didn't cry.
Off the top of my head, and it's such a random game, but off the top of my head, I think I've only cried once in my entire life out of sadness for one of my sports teams, and I was 14, 99, and
I was my 20 or 19 and 20 when this happened.
Yeah. 1999 NLCS Mets Braves when Kenny Rogers walked the bases loaded, because that was such that was my first taste of playoff baseball, and I was a diehard Met fan, and it was such an emotional roller coaster, that series. You had the Ventura walk-off grand slam, you're down 3-0, then you win, you get it back to 3-2, then you have the lead in the 8th, you blow it, you have the lead in the 9th, you blow it, and then Kenny Rogers walked in against the Braves of all teams, are by far our biggest rival. I think that's the only time I've ever broke down in tears over my sports team. I think.
Yeah. Well, listen,
go
as
ahead.
A Yankee fan, I can understand. I was pissed off for Mets fans because we had to deal with Kenny Rogers' bullshit. And in Game 4 of the World Series, we were down 6-0 because of him. And luckily, we came back. Leyritz's 3-run homer in the 8th. And then Boggs' pinch hit walk in the 10th or 11th, whatever inning it was. I think it was the 10th, and they won. But yeah, I was mad. I'm like, why would the Mets go out? This guy can't pitch in New York.
Yeah, what a bum he was.
He was a bum.
We had so many old guys. Oral Hershiser was on that staff. He was like 40 something at the time. We had a lot of old pitchers on that team.
Oral lasted forever. Oral pitched a lot of. He was with the Cleveland Indians, and they were in the postseason in the 90s too.
Yeah. If that Mets team had a good pitching staff, they would have won the World Series. They had a great lineup, but their pitching staff was awful. Masato Yoshi, Rick Reed, Al Leiter, he was good, but it was an awful pitching staff. Cliffside says, besides the Liberty, which New York City sports team is the closest to a ticker tape parade? They lost in the championship, the Liberty, which I think is like the 3rd or 4th time they've never won. Also, have either of you ever been to one before? That's one of my biggest regrets, that I didn't go to either one of the 2 parades that I could have for the Giants. That's a huge regret of mine. I wish I did. And I had the opportunity to go to the first one, not the second one. So I've
never been to a ticker tape. I don't live close to New York City, so it'd be a lot more difficult for me to get there. But I have never been to one. As far as like the team that's closest to the ticker tape parade,
I think it's the Knicks. I mean, I'm not big into hockey, so it might be the Rangers, but
Rangers are only 2-2 this year.
I think it's the Knicks. I don't think the Knicks are winning this year. But if you're asking me who's the closest, I think it's the Knicks.
Could be.
I mean, you can't say the Mets or Yankees after the year they had.
The Yankees bite. Although now let's start. Oh, Juan Soto. I'll believe when I see it, Cashman.
Yeah.
Go out and get Juan Soto and get Shohei Ohtani. Come on, man. Steve Cohen will do it. So let's go, Cashin. Step your game up, boy. Let's go.
And Evan Allen says 2019 ALCS Game 6 Altuve walk-up. I cried so. Yeah, that was a tough one for sure.
That one just made me mad.
Yeah, that was a tough one. That was because that was when the Yankees were starting to get back to their World Series contending ways. And yeah, that was a tough one for sure, especially against that team.
And the odd thing is DJ LeMahieu hit a home run on the top of the inning to tie it. And that's I'm pretty sure that's the year that they were talking about how Altuve had the buzzer on his chest and all that crap. But for me, Evan might be younger. I don't know how old Evan is. I'm guessing he's a younger guy. I mean, me seeing 5 World Series, I'll never. Yeah, I've seen him playing 7, but I won't cry over them. I just get mad now. I get mad more than sad about it.
Yeah, I don't cry over it anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. But the first time, the same thing. And you mentioned that 99 Mets. It was the first time. Same thing to me. 95 Yankees was the first postseason. They were so close in 85. They were close in 87. And then they went through a lot of crap in the late 90s, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92. They were not very good. And then Buck kind of got them going in 93. And then 94, they were the best team in the American League, and we had the strike. And I didn't get to see them in the postseason then either. So then they had to go like 27-7 over the last 34 games to make the wild card in 95, and they got up to a terrible start. And
that was such a brutal series, too. I remember that was a great series.
It was one of the best series ever.
Yeah. Griffey was great in that series. Edgar Martinez was incredible. Tino, you guys got Tino the next year. That was such a great series. That
and Ruben Sierra was hitting rockets.
Yeah.
Manning's home run. Again, you would think it's World Series stuff, like my favorite moments or my favorite game. Mattingly's home run, that 95 game 2. I get chills because Sierra just hits a home run, ties the game up. And Gary Thorne says, here's Mattingly. The fans want a dinger out of him. And on a 1-0 pitch, he just goes down and just sweet Mattingly swing, rips it into the bleachers. And Gary Thorne's just, hang on to the roof. Yeah. And just seeing everybody just duck shit all over the place. Beer fly. It was insane, that crowd reaction. You may have never heard a louder crowd reaction. Maybe Girardi's triple. But that Mattingly home run was insane. It's such a good series.
There's been so many magical moments that are forgotten about because of the end result, because the team didn't end up winning. I think back to the 2001 World Series, like the walk-off home runs with Brocious, and those would have been all-time great moments. The Endy Chavez catch in Game 7 against the Cardinals, those are just moments that you almost forget about because the team didn't win. But Devon says, with the cheating scandal, 2019 ALCS Game 6, when the news broke on top of the tiers from the game itself, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that was definitely a brutal time for baseball fans in general, but specifically Yankee fans.
Yeah,
it
was rough.
When we found out about what the Astros did.
Yeah, good and bad. That's part of being a sports fan, man. You have really good and really bad.
I just find it so funny though, and I think we've talked about this before. The hypocrisies between football and baseball. The Patriots basically did exactly what the Houston Astros did, to the T. They've been caught cheating multiple times, and that's only what we know about. They probably cheated every game because they just didn't get caught every game. Once a cheater, always a cheater. But Bill Belichick and Tom Brady go down as the greatest of all time. They're thought of as heroes. The Houston Astros, people want them thrown out of the sport. It's just funny how one is viewed one way and one viewed the other when it comes to cheating. I don't know why. I wonder why.
I don't. I think because of football, because it's just every game means so. Not that the freaking ALCS World Series don't matter.
Yeah,
I think that football is just a much more intense game. Baseball is a relaxed, That's why I love baseball. I live and die with every play with the Giants, obviously. There's more intensity in a Giants game for me than a Yankee game because there's 162 of those. But to me, the Yankees is whenever, my wife and I get a new house and we're looking, but I keep saying I want in the new house, I want a back porch. I want a back porch so I can just go out on the back porch, my rocking chair,
Mm-hmm.
and a freaking table and just have a cold beer or two and just listen to the game on the radio. That is my heaven, man. Just I don't need the TV. I like listening to a baseball game, the warm summer air, whatever. Like when I'm home, I just open up the windows. There's just something about it. It's hard for me to explain. I say it all the time. There's something about going through a tunnel and seeing that grass and hearing the crack of the bat, and smelling the hot dogs and the Cracker Jacks, and just seeing those guys up close. There's just something intimate about baseball to me, as opposed to football, which I love. But I don't know. I think it's because baseball is every night and you really get attached to it. Every night you got something. Every night you got something. They're there. They're your family for half a year. The football is one.
That's exactly what it is. Baseball, like you said, it's almost like as a Mets fan, it's almost like Keith and Ron are a member of my family.
Right.
Every night I know I could turn on the TV and I'm going to get to listen to Keith and Ron talk.
Right.
I agree with you on that standpoint. It feels more like a family than football. Football, you have a different broadcaster every week calling your game. Yeah. Unless you listen to us. Toasty says most.
And you should be listening to us. We should be family like you're family to us. That's the way it should be.
Toasty says most underrated play in Giants history, Webster pick. I mean, that's certainly one of my favorite plays of all time. It's Brett Favre's last completion as a Packer. The Seahorn pick is up there too. I think most people give that play credit, but that was an incredible play. I'm trying to think of the most underrated Giants play off the top.
I ended Corey Webster's career. I'll take credit for that. As I've told that story many times.
Yeah, you have.
On a training camp in 2012.
Yeah.
Victor Cruz I cannot find that picture. It's on, I swear it's on Instagram. I know it's on Instagram. Me and Victor Cruz. There's a picture of me and Victor Cruz.
Uh-huh.
And he's coming over and they're, signing autographs. And these ladies, Victor, do something. Victor, do. They're all like here. They're like 20 feet to the left of me, and he's coming this way.
Right.
I'm like, man, that guy's going to walk away. I know he's going to go to the other side. He doesn't want to hear that. He probably hears it a million times. He didn't, and then he got to me and he signed my helmet and he signed my nephew's helmet and signed my wife stuff. So I was like, do you mind if I get a picture? He's like, no. Nicest guy. Victor Cruz, the nicest guy. And here comes Corey Webster. Now, I love the secondary guys. I'm a big fan of Montrell Roll, Corey Webster, you name it. I love the Giants secondary. You go back to the Sam Garnes days and the Tito Wootons and the Myron Guytons, the Everson Walls, Mark Collins. I've said it many times, Jason Sehorn. They're always my favorite because I played. That was what my position was. Played cornerback. So I just always loved the safety. Even like I mentioned, Atwater and Fulcher and Browner. I love secondary guys. It's always the interception is my favorite play in football. I love interceptions.
Yeah.
And I say to Corey, I say, hey, he signs for me. He signed. But I was like, can I get a picture? And he's like, he goes, yeah, let me just go over here and I'll come right back and we'll get that. And he never did. And his career never was the same. You don't turn down a damn picture. At least just say, nah, I ain't got time. Don't lie to me. And then he went right to shit. So don't do that to me.
So it's because of you.
It's because of me. And it's also because of the fact you want to blame the Giants for sucking for a decade. It's because they left going to Albany. And they have not been good since. They left here in 2012, and they ain't been good since. Bring them up here for 2 weeks again. 2 weeks.
That'll solve everything. That'll solve everything.
That'll solve it all, Chris, because you know why? Because I can get down there, and I can let them know what's going on.
Josh, man, thank you very much for the $2 donation. And Devon, thank you. He says, my grandfather puts the game on, but listens to John Sterling on the radio. He'll never put the sound on the TV during the game. John Sterling's fun to listen to. I'll say that. He's not always the best in terms of his play-by-play, but he's certainly fun to listen to. I'd rather listen to him than Michael Kay.
Yeah, but John Sterling's funny, though, because a lot of times he misses plays.
Yeah.
And
it makes it entertaining.
You're supposed to be pretty descriptive when you're on the radio. It's one thing I pride myself in being as descriptive as I possibly can when I'm calling a basketball game or whatever I'm doing. I try to be as descriptive as I can because I know people can't see the game. So if they're relying on me to tell them what's going on, I feel like I got to be at the top of my game.
Of course. Yeah.
So Sterling, foul ball. What happened? Oh, he swung and missed. That ball is gone. Oh, wait a minute. He caught it? It was one thing when Rizzuto would do it because you could see. You could see what happened. Rizzuto just couldn't see, but you could see. He's watching it. But Sterling, he's grown on me, man. I can tell you that.
Well, I think he's about done, right? He's going to retire soon. You have to figure, right?
He doesn't go on road games anymore. I think he's 84, 85. Yeah. He may not retire. He may do this till he just
might do it till he's in the grave.
He could be.
Yeah. I mean, he started with Cleveland, right? Didn't he?
I know he was with the Braves. He was at Atlanta for a while. He was at the Braves and the Hawks. Okay. I don't know if he might have been with Cleveland at some point. I remember in the 80s him doing broadcasts on TBS. But he might have went to, I don't know when he became a Yankee guy.
And Xerox says, evening, gents. It's been a crazy year so far. Bobby Okereke is a guy we should talk about. Quickly becoming my favorite player. The sound of the hit on Harris last week was crazy. I think we win tomorrow. I'm not going to go that far, but I do think we win tomorrow. I don't think we're going to blow him out. But, hey, I hope you're right. I hope it's a snooze fest.
It'd be nice.
But, yeah, it's nice to finally have a legitimate linebacker. Like, I think Bobby Okereke is really good. I'm not saying he's all pro level, but he's really good, and he's much better than what we had. Like, you watch Tate Crowder and him, it's night and day. So, yeah, he's looked really good the last 2 weeks. He's been definitely taking a major step up, and he's the biggest reason why this defense has looked the way that it has over the last few weeks. So,
I also
he keeps it up.
I also think he's helped Micah McFadden. I think those guys are playing off one another because McFadden's been awesome.
Yeah.
This year. But, yeah, I think Bobby O got out to a slow start. I think it was an adjustment for him. But now I think you're seeing why we gave him the money we did. And yeah, being a 25-year-old linebacker, that's just a beast, especially in the middle of that. The captain of the defense, we need that. And it's no coincidence that since Bobby O started playing better, the defense has played better.
Oh, yeah, he's been a major X factor. Josh, I got you. So you donated $2. You didn't type anything, but you meant to type this. I got you. He says, I personally don't think drafting a quarterback early is the move. I respect that opinion. I'll keep going. I feel like 1 out of every 8 to 10 can't miss college quarterbacks actually work out. I say draft an edge and take a quarterback later to develop behind DJ. I don't want to pigeonhole myself to any singular position. I want them to take the best available player. I don't hate that opinion. I may not agree with it. I have to wait to see how the year plays out and where we're picking. But I'm not against the idea of here's my opinion, though, Josh. If we're picking that high, if we don't take a quarterback, I want to trade out. I don't want to stay at 1 or 2 in a quarterback-rich draft class if we're not taking a quarterback. Because there's so many teams that need them that if you're not going to take a quarterback there, somebody's going to be willing to come up to 2 to get one. So for me, I don't want to stay at 2 and take a wide receiver. I don't want to stay at 2 and take a tackle or an edge or whatever. If you want to take an edge, you want to take Marvin Harrison, whatever it may be, trade out of the pick. That's my mindset, Baddog. If we're picking that high, which I hope we're not, you either take the quarterback or you trade out of the pick.
I mean, you could say that about any position. I mean, you could say guys that go number 1 overall. I mean, what's Trayvon Walker doing? I've heard nothing about him. He was the number 1 overall pick last year, not this past season, but the year before. Is he doing anything? A lot of times this happens with any positional player that picking a guy 1 overall doesn't always work. Quarterbacks are hit and miss. It's not easy to have a franchise quarterback. Ask the Jets. Ask the Bears. Ask. There's a lot of teams that do not end up with a franchise quarterback because you can't all be the Packers and have 2 franchise quarterbacks for 30 years. Like that doesn't happen. The Colts, when they lost Andrew Luck, they went through a period. It's not easy to get franchise quarterbacks. It's hard. So, but like Chris said, you can't be scared about, oh God, well, what if we take Michael Penix and he stinks? I mean, you can't, that could be any player. What if we go, everyone's like Joe Alt. Well, what if they take Joe Alt and he's Evan Neal? What's the difference? If you miss, you miss. It doesn't really matter the position. Obviously, the quarterback is the most important position, so it's magnified. But if you're missing a top 5 pick, no matter who the hell you took, that hurts a lot.
Yeah.
So again, it depends on which direction they want to go. If they truly believe Daniel Jones, if they're picking second and they say Daniel Jones, we believe in him for the next 3 years, they ain't taking a quarterback. But if they looked at Daniel Jones and go, we don't believe it. We don't believe in him. And we don't know what's going on with his neck. And we're going to take our guy this time, John Mara. We are going to go with our quarterback, and we will live and die with our quarterback. I'm not going to kill them either way. I trust Joe Shane. This has been a bad season. And I don't understand people's, I go, Joe Shane needs to be fired. We went to the damn playoffs and won a playoff game for the first time in 12 years last year. In a transitional year, they did this. And this year, things ain't worked. We played an elite schedule, been banged up. I'm not making excuses. We're not good enough to beat those teams. We've gotten blown out. That's what's disappointing. But I'm not ready to kill the guy and go, oh, you don't know what he's doing. Micah McFadden's a good pick. Looks like a good pick. Deontay Banks looks pretty damn good. Kayvon Thibodeau looks pretty damn good. Micah McFadden. I've said Micah McFadden already. Jalen Hyatt, when he plays, Wandale looks like he can play.
Yeah.
I gotta give Joe Shane time to let his drafts develop. And let's see what he does when he has some cap space. The guys had no cap space to work with. Let's see when he's not,
We'll see.
whatever.
We'll see what happens at the end of the year. That's all you could say right now. It's kind of silly to talk about the draft right now because we don't know where they're going to be picking. So when we find out where they're picking, we'll talk more about it, and we'll talk about what we think the most logical avenue may be. But we got to wait till the end of the year to see where they're picking. Evan says, "Watch Baddog skit of Joe Judge again." Classic. There you go.
That was a good one. That's I'm telling you, some of my best content, in my opinion, came in 2021. That was some of my best stuff. The video that's on my page, if you're not subscribed to me, is me with the bag over my head. I laugh at that. So I just had so many quotable lines that year. It started with the "you run laps, Joe," and the "you run laps." That was a good one because
they gave you a lot of material that year.
He gave me a ton. Like I said, the toilet paper playbook, the clown music, the paper bag, the imitation skit. He should be swimming in the Hudson Ocean with cement shoes. I had a lot of good ones that year. That was a lot of, and it's funny. They were so bad, but I had so much fun. It's just strange. Listen, people are like, oh, you scream and you whine and you complain. It's the way I deal with it. It's the way I deal with them being bad. It is.
Everybody copes with things differently.
I don't plan on doing it. Like sometimes I'm like, Dad, don't worry, I'm not going to yell. And the next thing I know, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. I love the Giants. I don't know what to tell you. I love this team. I love them to death. I love them. I've loved this team for 40 plus years. I have a hard time with them being this bad. I've never really experienced this length of poor play. It's disappointing, especially when you see the teams that I hate the most in the last few years winning a Super Bowl. The Eagles, they played in the Super Bowl last year. Dallas is beating the shit out of us every time they play the Eagles. Like, I'm just sick of it. I want to win. Win.
Oh, I think everybody wants to start winning. We just all deal with things differently. We all react differently. But Max says if Bobby Okereke keeps playing like a madman, and this pass rush starts getting home, given the proper upgrades in the draft, am I the only one that thinks this defense could be something special soon? I don't want to use the term special yet. I think we're a few pieces away before I can start to deem them special, Max, because the way I look at it, and I got to that because I saw that you said that you didn't have enough money to donate. I want to make sure I read that. And I'm going to get back to Cliffside's super chat. I didn't forget about you, Cliff. I think because the way I look at it, Bad Dog, is at the end of the year, you're going to have to replace Leonard Williams, who hasn't been good this year, but you're going to need a new defensive lineman. You're going to have to probably replace Adoree Jackson. You're going to probably have to replace Xavier McKinney. So, and you have to hope Kayvon Thibodeau continues to elevate as a player. So, no,
probably Aziz, right? Aziz ain't coming back here.
Aziz, I mean, he's got another year on the contract. So,
he does. Okay.
Yeah, but he won't be here much longer than that. Yeah, I think we're at least 2 or 3 pieces away from being long term, at least being a high end defense. Because we're gonna have a lot of players that we have to replace after this year.
We need a legitimate pass rusher. Thibodeau is good, but some days he's great. He's just really inconsistent. Like some days he just disappears. Some days he's a guy that wreaks havoc all game. We need our Aiden Hutchinson. We need our Josh Allen. We need our TJ Watt. We need our Micah Parsons.
Bosa.
We need one of those guys. And that's why when I did the video about the Giants getting Micah Parsons, I mentioned in there, he's a guy that can take your defense to an elite level. He's that special. I knew that. I would have loved to have had Micah Parsons. I hate that he went to Dallas. But
it's amazing when you look at those upper echelon pass rushers, which hopefully Kayvon becomes that. But when you look at Bosa, look at the 49ers defense, and they had talent obviously on that defense before he got there, but he elevated them to an elite defense. Just him drafting him, Micah Parsons. Same thing with Parsons. Like the Cowboys went from a very bad defense to one of the best in the league within 2 years of Micah Parsons being on the football team. You get one of those guys, a TJ Watt, like you said, you could really elevate your defense really quick.
Notice one name. Notice one name I didn't say, and I'll never say that because there will never be another Lawrence Taylor, so it won't matter. But yes, he elevated the Giants defense to elite level too. Yeah. But those guys, we need that playmaker, that 15 sack guy, that consistent guy that gets there on 3rd and 9, the guy that blows everything up when you need that guy. We don't have that guy. Kayvon, like I said, he is that guy sometimes. You need that guy. I love Aiden Hutchinson. Like that guy.
He's great.
Beast. Like I freaking love him. So if you get that type of guy to go with the Bobby Okereke, and if Micah McFadden continues to get better, and Deonte Banks plays the way he does, and Trey Hawkins develops,
things change real fast. You get an elite pass rusher, suddenly Kayvon's
the secondary looks a lot better with an elite pass rusher.
Yeah, Dexter Lawrence. Imagine him if you had an Aiden Hutchinson.
Yes,
it changes everything. Cliffside says, "Hey, Bad Dog, when's the next Super Friends? I love the banter. Hopefully, we win tomorrow, so you have some ammo for Lou." There you go.
Yeah, Louis. Well, you can always check the Super Friends channel because normally one of us does like a recap of the NFC East. We do that once a week. One of us does it, and then if the two teams play one another, like Washington and the Giants this week, Louis and I did a 50-minute stream where we just talked about the game. Really wasn't any trash talk. We were just kind of talking about the game and discussing the year so far. But the Super Friends is Wednesday. This Wednesday, we'll all be getting together again. And I'll be honest, listen, if we beat Washington, I'm still not going to I don't have anything to say. It's the one thing that sucks. Every time I really open my mouth confidently about the Giants do their best to shut it for me. Nobody else shuts it for me. The Giants do it for me.
Even if the Giants won their next 3 games, I wouldn't start opening my mouth confidently.
I'm not opening my mouth this whole year.
For me to start being really confident in this team, they have to beat a really good football team.
Yeah, beat Dallas and Philly, and I'll
start that's where I'm at with them right now. It's like even if you beat a bad team, it's like, okay, we knew you could beat bad teams, but you haven't shown me any growth. You haven't been able to compete with good teams outside of Buffalo, which they did. Andrew says, "Happy Friday, Saturday, fellas. Let's get this W tomorrow." Yeah, happy Saturday to you, Andrew. Happy Saturday, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. Yeah. Vegas says, "Bro, just take a quarterback early if we're in a position." I mean, I think that's what we're gonna do. If we are picking really high and we like one of them, which I think we would if we were picking that high. I don't think we will be. I really don't. I don't think we're gonna be picking top 3, but if we are, I think we would take a quarterback.
I do too. It's not again. It gives Joe Shane job security because he's not attached to Daniel Jones anymore. Daniel Jones was not his guy. You take a rookie quarterback, he has now attached himself to that quarterback's performance. So if you're picking that early where you can get Caleb Williams or Michael Penix, it's because your quarterback didn't play well or got hurt or a combination of both. And they're like, you know what? There's a reason these guys structured the contract like that to get out after 2 years. And Chris and I talked about this too. We said the right thing to do was we signed Daniel Jones, but you wanted to do it like a Derek Carr contract where you sign for 3 or 4 years and you're out after 2. And that is exactly what they did. That's what Chris and I talked about all last year when we were talking about giving Jones a contract. That And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, it gives them options. It gives you it shows confidence in Jones, but you don't overcommit. You can easily pivot if things completely go to hell the following season, which it's at least a growing possibility that it will. So it was the right thing to do based off the situation that they were in. They didn't limit themselves in terms of having flexibility in terms of what they want to do at the quarterback position the following year or the year after that. So it was the right thing to do. And yeah, we talked, like you said, we talked about that as it got closer where we started to realize Jones is coming back.
Yeah.
That was the only reasonable thing to do, was to give him a contract extension, but one that was smart in the sense that it gives you options going forward.
Yep.
DB from EP, thank you. He says, why didn't they put Neal at the position that got him drafted? Because Andrew Thomas plays that position.
Thomas, yeah.
Yeah, you can't move Andrew Thomas. He's one of the best left tackles in football.
Sorry, big hit in the game.
And what do you watch, the USC game?
Yeah, it was a big hit.
And I think
I actually taped this so I can watch it. I'm taping the Washington game so I can watch that too.
But I know that I got it up here. It's 31-23. I know that.
Yeah, USC's inside the 20.
Nice. Why didn't they put Neal at the position? Yeah, that's why, DB. But you're not moving Andrew Thomas.
Oh, he said down there. He said he meant that for the Bills game. I mean,
for the Bills game. I'm sorry.
Because I don't think you want to. He's struggling right tackle. You don't want to start moving him around, and he's not going to play left tackle. You know what I mean? They're going to move him right back to right tackle when Thomas gets healthy. So you want to develop as you drafted him as your right tackle. Thomas just got a big extension or contract, so he's going to be your left tackle. So there's really no reason to put Evan Neal over there. I think you want him to develop as a right tackle the best you can. If he's really bad this year, he continues to play bad, I think they'll move him inside, but he'll never be our left tackle. I think that's why they did that.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Like he's going to be the right, just because Andrew Thomas misses 4 or 5 games this year, you're not going to make the move anyway. So why screw with Evan Neal's head? Use this year to get him accustomed to playing on the right side and find out if he could play that position. So I think that's the main reason why they haven't shifted him, is because they want him to master that position, because they know long-term that's their, obviously they still believe in the kid long-term. They took him 7th overall. So they want him to continue to get reps on that right side because they want him to grow into that position. Whether or not he will, I have serious doubts. And I'm usually a guy that's very patient, but I haven't seen enough growth. Now, I know Baddog was encouraged off last week. He's starting to get me to believe a little bit with Evan Neal. I need to see a lot more, though, before I start to dip my toe into the I'm encouraged, I see this going somewhere with Evan Neal. I've been severely disappointed with his play this year.
No, no, Caleb went to throw the ball and fumbled it. He's like he got back on top of it. I was encouraged. I hope that Evan Neal can build off his performance. I thought he played very, very well in that Buffalo game. So hopefully, but he's going to have to continue to play like that the rest of the year. He can't just have one good game and then suck for 3 and then have one good game, because then I'm going to be like, well, that's not what you want from a 7th. That's what you want from a guy that's filling the role and not your 7th overall pick. That guy needs to be good, 5 out of 6. He can have one bad game every other month, but he can't be like, you have one good game every other month. So.
Yeah. And Welvin says, my boys, hope all is well. Things are going well, man. Big dub tomorrow. Yeah, we need it. We need it tomorrow. There's no doubt about it. If we want to have anything to look forward to, we got to find a way to get a win tomorrow. Get to 2-5, and then maybe you beat the Jets. Who knows? I wouldn't pick us, but you never know. So hopefully they get a win tomorrow. Hopefully we don't continue to lose football games. But good to see you, Welvin. Let's see. Waller doesn't look special. I was actually surprised. I was actually looking at Waller's targets today. He's gotten a lot more targets than I thought. He's gotten like 40 targets this year, Darren Waller. I'm pretty sure. When I remember looking at it earlier today, I was like, wow, they've thrown to him a lot more than I realized. But yeah, I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's the play calling. I don't know if it's the quarterback. But they have not gotten him involved enough in terms of big play opportunities in this offense this year. That's a fact.
Yeah, especially in the red zone. You would have thought he'd be more productive in the red zone.
He's got 41 targets this year. I was surprised by that. I didn't. He's got 28 catches for 282 yards. His numbers actually aren't far off from what I expected. Just doesn't have touchdowns. He's on pace to have over 800 yards this year if he doesn't get hurt, because that's or right about right. That's almost 50 yards a game.
Yep.
But he doesn't have the touchdowns, and he hasn't had enough big plays, which is what we were hoping for. Last year, Waller I think he had 9 20-plus yard receptions last year, and he only played 9 games. We haven't seen enough of that this year. That's what we were hoping for from him.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I read a stat that said he's on pace for 90. Yeah, exactly, Max. That's what when I saw that today, I'm like, wow. I didn't realize Waller had that many catches, targets, yards. Doesn't feel like it.
It's because they're not impactful plays, and a lot of it's probably when we're down 24-3 or 33-0, and it's just stats.
Yeah, they're empty stats.
Yeah.
Who was the last Giants wide receiver to have 1,000 yards? Odell Beckham.
Odell,
I think. Yeah. It would have been Tate his first year had he not gotten hurt the first 4 games. I think he was pretty close to 1,000, but he missed like 4 games. But it's Odell Beckham.
Yep.
Welvin says, I'm optimistic with the fact that we always seem to beat Washington. I think it's more than I'm going to get rid of this mic. We're going to end this show now anyway, but I think it's more than one game, Baddog, that we need to get it rolling. But you got to start somewhere. You got to get a win somewhere, and it's got to start tomorrow.
Yeah, well, you're going to get it. That's the only way you can get it rolling is with a win.
Yeah,
I think we're going to win. I do.
If they win the next 3 games, they'll reel me in a little bit. I don't expect them.
We play Dallas, and then we'll of course right back out again.
Yeah, I don't think we will, obviously, but if we do, at least it'll be interesting. At least that Dallas game would be interesting. But let's see what we got. Will says, if you guys are top 5 in the draft, do you pick another quarterback?
Probably. Depends on who's there, but I'm sure they will.
Good chance. We'll see. We'll see at the end of the year. But if you're picking here's what I'll say, Will, and I've said it countless times now over the last couple of weeks when people have asked me about this topic. And again, we don't know where we're going to be picking. But in your hypothetical scenario, if you're Joe Shane and there's an elite quarterback prospect or a quarterback prospect around the league that is viewed as a potential elite quarterback, and you pass on him, you run the risk of losing your job the following season if that guy turns out good and your team continues to sputter out of control. If you draft a quarterback, it gives you more job security because obviously there's patience that has to come along with that with a rookie quarterback. So I would expect Shane, if he really liked a quarterback and we were picking that early, to take one. Just like I would have expected it last year if we were picking that early. We didn't pick that early. So, my answer would be I would lean towards more likely than not we would. That doesn't mean we definitely would, but more likely we would. But, guys, we are going to close it out. We'll be live on Bad Dogs tomorrow. Going over there, check them out. Appreciate all you guys that showed up despite the fact that this team has been abysmal and there hasn't been a whole lot to talk about. But we appreciate each and every one of you guys, man. You guys are the best. And thank you guys again, for all the support you always show. Got a sponsor last week. Without you guys, things like that aren't possible. So thank you guys for all the support with that. And Bad Dog, of course, thank you for coming on. Looking forward to doing the game with you tomorrow as much as I can to watch this football team. But hopefully we find a way to get a win. Hopefully we get to experience a win because we haven't gotten enough of those this year. That's for sure.
Hey, listen, man, the saying is misery loves company. So Chris and I love the fact that during the football game, we usually get about 3,000 people to share our misery. Chris, I love sharing my misery with you, buddy. We've been doing this show for 6 years now. We had one good one, and now we're kind of right back to where we started. It's like we've been talking about the same stuff for years, but I say it all the time, and it's the truth. This is my favorite thing that I do on YouTube. I love being able to work with Chris. I love, the fact that even though we, like you said, we're just an abysmal abomination of a football organization right now, things just don't look good. Guys continue to support because that's what Giants fans do. And it's the best fan base in football. I know right now, on Twitter, it's toxic. On YouTube, I get it. Fans are frustrated. Things are going good. Fans ain't gonna act like this. You don't see Philadelphia Eagle fans talking about, Jalen Hurts has 7 picks. He sucks. You don't see that because they're winning. If they were 1-5 right now, if they were 1-5 and Jalen Hurts had 7 picks, Chris, the same thing will be going on over there. We just gave him all this money and he sucks.
Jalen Hurts is playing horrible this year, but nobody's talking about it, like you said, because they're winning, so it doesn't matter.
They're winning. So I get it. So I understand the frustration. I get it. But we only are frustrated because we love this team. And although we may think differently about how to fix it, that's all we want is it to be fixed. So again, the fact that we're really bad, but you guys continue to support means the world to us. And we're going to continue to do it. Win, lose, or draw. That's what we do. And hopefully we see you tomorrow and let's get a damn W. I think we're going to. So Chris, I always appreciate you having me on the channel. I'll see you tomorrow about 12:30 and we'll get our second win of the season. Sound like a plan?
2-5. I'm looking forward to it. I can't believe
All right, 2-5. Let's not break out the toilet paper too soon. Anyway, for the entertainment, it's a bad thing. You just enjoy the rest of your Saturday night, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. We out. Peace.
Have a good night, guys.